It's a second read, correct?
Yep. Any concerns, questions?
I had none.
Okay.
I would like to make a suggestion. Paragraph. Under education and experience,
Okay.
last paragraph, experience or any equivalent combination of education, training, and experience which provides the required knowledge, skills, and abilities to perform the essential functions of the job. Could we, i.e., give some examples of what those trainings are for future applicants who may apply for this job or believe they're qualified?
You certainly can. I would encourage you to maybe not put that in the position description and instead put that in the companion document that we normally do for searches,
Okay,
the community profile.
okay,
That would be something that we get reviewed and tailored every time you do a search.
okay,
Only because the board enjoys this discretion that you have, and that clause, that statement is something that we have standardized through every position description that you've updated. So if we change it here, then we'd have to consider those implications and changing it in other places, and at some point, then it's no longer standardized.
okay.
But that's just my recommendation.
Okay. I have no problem with that.
Okay.
I just think we should note it, what those experience are,
Understood.
when a candidate doesn't have all of the requirements, educational requirements. So,
That's a great point.
Yeah, or even to build as a resource internally as we do screenings and things,
Yeah.
you know, something for the screening committees to
Right.
use as well
Right.
on what maybe the board is determined to believe may be sufficient substitute. But I agree. I don't think putting it in a job description necessarily because it can be dynamic.
But I think to the point that you all are describing, one of the primary functions that we expect to be working on through this position, but just in general, we've obviously done a lot of hiring in the last 2 years. But I think it's shown some light on some places where if a person has been sort of conducting the search or screening process and supporting the hiring committees, that knowledge lives with that person. It's not standardized. And so I think we've been talking about updating sort of written procedures and written documentation about all of this that maybe not as well defined and as polished as we'd like. So part of that is to put these documents into a form that are ready for the next time we do searches for these types of positions, and then they're available for future screening committees and select boards to review as you prepare to do that work. So to try to document our practices.
Okay.
So that's all great feedback.
Thank you. I have no concerns.
I don't either. Do we want to approve it tonight?
I'd be happy to make a motion to approve the job description. Oops, hold on here. For the Assistant Town Administrator and Personnel Coordinator.
I will second that. Any further discussion?
None.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Next, review and vote regarding appointment for Director of Information Technology position, Jay Barney. I'm going to recuse myself at 6:44. Let the board handle that item.
Hopefully, my memo outlines where we are with the employment offer process. And there were two requests
Right.
that Mr. Barney asked me to bring back to the three of you for consideration.
I'm fine with the change in the anticipated start date. It's not that far off.
Okay.
At this particular time, it's less than a month.
Right.
And the request for the Select Board to consider the allowance for vacation leave policy. I am also fine with that. We're getting someone who has worked in a municipality for a number of years, already has accrued benefits and vacation, and it's hard to go back down, and you've had 2 weeks of vacation, to go back down to a week. So I'm fine with both of those, but I don't know how you feel, Bill.
I have no issues with that. I'm fine with it. I understand the reasoning, and I think we have Glenn Masad coming up, and it's the same kind of situation.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so I approve of the change, one additional work week added to the 2 weeks he already has.
Okay. So I think it'd be helpful if you could just formalize that into a vote.
I make a motion that we change the anticipated start date to Monday, September 14th, and that we allow up to the 1 additional week of vacation earlier in the accrual cycle.
Second.
Oh,
Second.
I'm recused, so
Oh,
one of you wants to call it.
oh, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's what I was waiting for, Bill. I'm like,
Thank you both.
All right, we'll rejoin at 6:46. A review of meeting minutes from July 27th and August 3rd, 2026.
Make a motion, we accept the meeting minutes of Monday, July 27th, 2026 as written.
seconded.
Any discussion?
None.
All in favor?
Aye.
Make a motion, we accept the meeting minutes of Monday, August 3rd, 2026 as written.
Seconded.
Any discussion on that one?
Negative.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Review and potential appointment of part-time patrol officer Kramus. Chief, come on up.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Sorry I missed the last meeting. So I would like to present to the board Officer Pete Kramus, who's a deputy sheriff with the Franklin County Sheriff's Department. I think a couple of you guys have met him. Jackie, I'm not sure if you have had the opportunity yet. But
I don't think so. But
he's been with us since April 22nd, filling in when we were short-staffed. And he's meshed very well with the community, our department, and I think that he'd be a great resource. He has expressed interest in coming on board with us part-time. To keep a good relationship with the sheriff, I did reach out just to make sure, not that obviously she could say no, but just wanted to make sure, and she had no concerns. In fact, Pete went and spoke with her as well and encouraged him as well, so which was positive. And you guys can see I did recommend him for grade MP2 step 3 of the 29-28, only because he does have the full-time academy. He has been working with us, will not need any training. He's already working shifts by himself currently as his role as deputy sheriff. So.
Questions?
I have no
Concerns?
concerns.
I have no questions either.
I make a motion to appoint Peter Kramus as part-time scheduled up to 19 hours per week, non-benefited, patrol officer in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 41, Section 133, for a term of 1 year pending successful completion of a pre-employment background check, psychological exam, physical exam, and drug screen at a rate of grade NP2, Step 3, on the non-union police compensation schedule, which is a rate of $29.28 per hour, and with a start date on or before. Do you have a start date?
So he's on vacation currently. I'm out this week, so I was going to get with him next week and get the physical and psychological scheduled. So we're probably looking at
At least 3 weeks.
3 weeks-ish to a month, so
Probably.
maybe something in September.
September 1st or later?
September 1st would be tight, I think.
Okay, September 7th. Later?
Yeah,
Why don't we do
It's a
on or
pay
before
cycle.
September
Yeah.
14th?
Okay.
And that way,
Is that the cycle?
yeah, and
Yeah.
that would get a.
On or after?
He could start earlier if we were able to complete
Okay,
everything
yeah,
with the
right,
the week of vacation and all that
Yeah, yeah.
stuff, and then just need to get those things scheduled.
Yep.
Our experience has been with the screening vendors that we use that employees are getting through quicker than they were before.
Yes.
So I'm not as concerned as I used to be about needing advanced lead time, but obviously people have time off, and
Yep.
we need to plan around that.
Okay,
we
we'll
make
say,
it- Should we make it the 12th just because it's, is it a payroll week? Is that why, is that a cycle start? Or did you just pick it for days?
I just picked it in terms of getting
Oh,
it started.
okay, all right,
Yeah.
all right, never mind then, that's fine, 14th.
If you want it on the 12th, that also could be fine too.
Only if it was a payroll
14th
week.
is good.
Yeah,
Let's
that's
just plan the 14th.
to
On or
com-
sooner is good.
Yep.
to complete the motion and with a start date on or before September 14th, 2026.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So, thank you, board.
Thanks. Review and vote regarding vacation leave request for G. Johnson Musad.
Hopefully the memo made sense. This was a request that came up during the search process when the board made an offer of employment during Mr. Johnson Musad's hiring. And it was then sort of the catalyst for the board working on the revision to that policy, working through the unions, and eventually revising the policy that was done about a month and a half ago.
I don't have an issue with this. Like I said, if we're hiring an experienced person who's had years of experience, it just makes sense that they don't go backwards.
I would agree, and I'll make a motion to approve Len Massad's vacation leave adjustment request for 1 additional week for a town policy.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Establish an appointment of equipment operator preliminary search committee. Come on up. Go ahead.
Good evening.
Evening.
So, and I know typically there's only two members of the highway department and a select board for an operator's position. The team works very closely together. There's a lot of communication between everybody, and they would all like to actually sit on this because they're all going to end up be working with this next individual. So I told them that I would present it to the board that way, and with four with one select board member. Lucky one being Jackie this time because the other two are busy. She sort of volunteered.
I didn't say no.
Fair enough. I have no concerns with doing 5. It's more efficiency to do 3, but if everyone wants to partake, generally would be more concerned about trying to fill the seats. So we've got them filled already.
I have no concerns.
I don't either. In fact, maybe we'll be training them for future screening committees.
Good point.
I'll tell them that's the deal.
Take notes. You might be in a different seat for a different role. I'll make a motion that we establish a preliminary screening committee for the equipment operator position and appoint Jackie Boyden, Glenn McCrory, Aidan Bailey, Daniel Costa, and Cody Pease to said committee.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. We'll be meeting Wednesday night.
Wednesday afternoon.
What's that?
Wednesday afternoon, 4 o'clock? Yeah,
You're not organized or anything.
that's not Wednesday night. That's
Thank you.
Thank you. Update on the status of the activities coordinator search.
Cheers here.
Yep, she has. If we have questions, do you want her to come up? I said we can have her come up if we have
Yes.
questions.
Would you
All right,
come up and
please.
give us a...
Deb.
That's why you never come to joint meetings early. So just so you, because you don't have this in front of you, Emily has prepared a memo to the board to explain the search process, the number of applicants you received, the review that you did, how many you interviewed or invited to interview, how many actually interviewed, discusses the proposal for a program that the candidates were asked to do, and then the recommendation for 2 finalists to come to the board for review.
I think that covers it.
so. Sounds to me like we need to schedule interviews.
Yep.
Yeah, it sounds like it. So we didn't have any recommendation otherwise, so it sounds like we had 2 good candidates to take a look at. There was recommendations on questions.
Yeah, I didn't have any issues with the questions.
Okay. I was going to say, do you have any questions on the questions?
Nope, I do not. I do not have any questions on the questions. I don't know about you two.
The one thing we did that the board may not be familiar with is we actually asked the candidates, and thank you to Beth Gannon, it was actually her suggestion. We asked them to do a presentation. And so we are asking if you all would like, we did recommend that they do that here for you as well. We gave them between 10 to 15 minutes. I don't think either candidate used more than that. And so it is something, we found it to be very helpful. It was a really interesting experience to have and to do, and we learned a lot about both candidates that way. So I would highly recommend, if the board is willing to allow the candidates to do that again for you as well.
Would you?
I think that sounds like a great idea. I mean,
Yeah, I agree. I was going to say, are you recommending the same? They do the same proposal, or that they have to do a new one, or is there any recommendation?
No. I believe our guidance to them was going to be the number of packets that they should hand out. That if they could add to their proposal, but we are asking for the same proposal. We did not think it would be right to ask them to do something completely different.
I think it's a good idea.
yep.
Be interesting to see. Okay. Thank you.
Welcome.
So then, 2 parts out of that. One, I think, is, I guess not a question, but time to maybe put it as a question. Just and then we're ready to see the presentation. Where does that make sense to fit into the timeline? And then, any other questions we want to add? Are we good with the set? Do we want some time to review them?
I feel like the search committee did a great job with the questions. I don't think I could really contribute anything to them that isn't already there.
I'm good.
Okay. Any recommendations on where to hold to have them present within the timing? Well,
Great
maybe
question.
whereabouts? Yeah, come on. Or yes, please. Maybe I shouldn't have said we were all set yet.
So what we did is we opened with two kind of general questions, and it naturally just kind of flowed into them doing their presentation as question number 3, so to speak. We kind of felt like that took the edge off. They got to work out their nerves a little bit. Then they did their presentation, and then we followed up with the remaining, I think it was 7 or 8 questions afterwards.
6.
So if you have kind of a natural break in your questions where you can do that, that's a good spot. But I definitely think asking them a couple of questions first would be helpful.
Let's see. I almost think, so you asked them to come up with an activity
Correct.
and how they would plan it and that.
Yep.
So it's almost like either after question 5, which is what is customer service in the Senior Community Center to look like? It's a diverse population for actively engaged and mobile seniors. How would you go about engaging and attracting this population? And I think the presentation would fit in nicely after that, kind of flows into what they would be proposing as, an event or a program to attract them.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Does that work for you?
Works for me.
Okay. Then I would say the only other thing is I would just probably copy question 9 over to ours too, because we don't have the wrap-up question.
Yeah,
Got it.
So,
and that would give us 9 questions.
right. Okay. And then scheduling.
Yes.
Okay, bye.
Thank you. They can just move over there. If FinCom would like to and Capital would like to get settled, we'll start after this item wraps up.
So the director's away through the 25th. I don't know if you feel like you'd like the director to have the opportunity to be present for this?
It would.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it would be good
Okay.
Yeah.
in case we have questions afterward that we want to deliberate with the director on. So we'd be looking after the 25th.
Correct.
And what did we propose for our schedule? Is it the 7th?
It's in the minutes, and I don't have my phone in front of me, so let's see. Here we go.
31st, I think, was your next date.
Right.
Okay.
17th, then August 31st, and then we scheduled meetings on September 21st and the 28th is tentative.
Right.
So the director will be back on the 25th, you said?
It's gone through the 25th, so
Through
it
the
returns the
25th.
26th.
Okay, so that would give her enough time to get back into everything from vacation and clean up anything she needs to do during that. Does that work?
Do we want to do it on a business night or do it on another night? Because usually
I was wondering.
we often separate it just because
Right,
it's a couple hours on its own plus deliberation.
I was wondering.
Okay. I'm gonna have to
27th? I
do
don't
the
know
rude
if
thing and
that's
get my
too
phone.
soon.
The 7th will be Labor Day.
What?
The 7th of September
Okay.
will be Labor Day.
Okay. 27th, I said.
Oh, I heard
Okay.
the 7th.
I thought you said something like the 27th had
Yeah, let me
something, and
just
I
give
didn't know where you were
information about
going.
a date you're not asking.
That's okay. I thought you were proposing the 7th, and I got really confused.
So the 27th could be an option.
Yeah, that's
looking
sooner, but I don't know if that's good or bad for everybody.
That only gives her one day back from work. I just think that's a little too soon.
Is a Tuesday out of the question?
I could do September 1st this month.
Yeah, I could do September 1st.
We're doing August?
September.
September.
And I don't remember when you're away for some of September, but are you here for the 1st?
I can do September 1st.
Yeah, okay. September 1st?
Tentatively planned for the September
Mhm.
1st.
Yeah.
Do you want to pick another date?
we-
like we did.
Just as a backup.
This is a backup.
Can we do 7 o'clock? Is that okay?
That's fine.
Okay.
Like
Then do
the,
the second.
I can't do the second. I have
Okay.
I have a school committee FinCom meeting.
We can't do the third.
You can't do the third. Well, wait a minute. Are you going to do it at 7 o'clock? Yes, I could do it at 7 o'clock on the second.
Wednesday the
That's
2nd.
Yeah, if it was the backup.
Okay, I can do the second as well.
Okay.
And I can make that work as well.
Okay.
So we can offer the candidates the preferences Tuesday
Yeah, first, and if we can't get both, then
Okay.
second.
and 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock.
Yes.
Got it. And I will follow up with the director and the search committee. We'll follow up with candidates, and we'll get that scheduled.
Excellent. I'm gonna add that now before I forget.
Would you like me to send holds for your calendar?
Yes, please.
Got it.
I am indifferent. You're welcome to.
The more reminders I have, the better. For somebody who's retired, I'm a very busy person.
With that, it's 7:05, so I'm going to call the joint meeting with the Finance Committee and the Capital Planning Committee to order. Y'all want to come up and get settled?
We apparently don't have a form.
Okay. Got it.
Where the good come in.
Everybody's good.
Oh, wow.
Everybody's good.
You did. I think I did that right. All right. Well, we'll talk through some of these and whatever level the individual members for finance want to weigh in, they're welcome to for discussion, but not deliberation. First topic was discussion regarding the curbside residential solid waste collection program. I believe finance had met about that. Obviously, you don't have a quorum here, but I think we had more data to get and walk through. So I guess maybe as a start, is there any discussion or questions about the information provided?
I have some questions too. So
I'm sorry. Yes, I didn't catch. Did you say yes?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead.
So my concern with looking at anything differently is that the company who's doing the trash pickup now is not following the expectation. So if they were following the expectation to not pick up trash that's not labeled, our poundage probably wouldn't look like this. And I feel like it's not fair to the residents of the town to take away this, what they're used to, when it's not their fault that it's not working. I don't believe it's the town's, I believe it's them not following through.
I don't know. Yeah, I think it goes the same way as we don't know. So don't know if it's that way or not. Like how much it would move the needle either way. We did reach out to them after the last meeting and address that with them, I believe, correct?
I think what Kelly is speaking to is that there's anecdotally some reports from some residents that they feel like they've either witnessed neighbors or somebody else in the neighborhood putting out trash. They don't observe stickers on them,
Right.
and so they are seeing it collected. I know we received complaints about that years ago. We addressed that issue with them, and then there was a slew of residents who all came into town hall immediately to get their stickers because, and it was like something like 30 plus families came into town hall to get stickers because they were having material rejected at the curb. So I do know that we've addressed this issue in the past,
Okay.
and that there was an immediate uptick in people coming in to obtain their stickers from your office.
Do we anecdotally know if those were like, they were paying for more stickers or they were just getting their allotment
They were just getting their allotment.
because they hadn't bothered?
Yes.
Okay. So it doesn't tell us directionally whether it would be more or less trash or change anything.
Correct.
For
But
sure.
Anecdotally as well, you still have a numerous, I don't even know how to guess, a number of stickers that people have in their possession that are technically liabilities that you all as taxpayers may have to pay for, because when they're cashed in at the curb, it just becomes a cost. Because not all families are using all of them. Some families are. There's a handful that do come in and purchase additional stickers, but most families either come in for their annual, or some do a year and a half, almost 2 years before they come in to get their next allotment. So there's certainly a capacity in the community full of stickers to dispose of that you are liable for.
So I had some questions. I also recently have observed them picking up trash. It's the same house, never has a purple sticker on, these big white bags. They pick up the trash every week. Also, we don't recycle as much as we should, and I wondered if there was a way to encourage more recycling so that it would reduce the tonnage of disposal if we were recycling more. And so, I mean, because this is my question, I'm coming into this in the pay as you throw. If they're already picking up the trash with no stickers on them now, right? What is going to prevent them from the future for picking up trash that doesn't have the pay as you throw stickers on them? So, and I mean, that was my question. I mean, we have a free program now. They're picking up the trash with no stickers on it. And it's spotty. I mean, but I know consistently one of my neighbors never uses the trash stickers. And so what's going to stop them if we have this pay as you throw? They're still going to pick it up anyways, right? And also, when they did the comparisons, I know we used Gill, which is great, but I also know in Erving, we pick up trash for 3 families, 4 families. When do we require a dumpster? At the 5 unit or the 6 unit?
That's a fair
Because
question.
so when we're comparing apples to apples, my question is, Gill, is where do they draw the line? If they're saying it has to be a 2 or a single unit residence, right, then their numbers are not going to equal our numbers,
Right.
because they're already requiring those multi-families, multi-units to have
Right.
a dumpster on site. We currently take their trash. And perhaps maybe that's where we start looking at that, because most of those units are rentals. And maybe it would cut down on our tonnage if we made the property owners supply a dumpster for their rentals. Also, my question in Gill was, I know they have these condominiums, and that's a big portion of their tax base there and their units. Is that a dumpster, or is that pay as you throw?
Well, condominiums are treated as individual housing units.
But how does Gill treat them as far as trash
Oh.
is concerned? That's what I'm
You're
talking
talking
about.
comparison purposes.
Yeah, because I'm thinking about comparison purposes.
Okay. Well, we can certainly have that conversation and try to get a little bit more into the numbers to see, are we truly comparing apples to apples? We can absolutely do that. And I certainly, we've had a handful of these anecdotal observations that people are reporting. I can certainly follow back up with the team, and we can do more spot enforcement of the program, both of the contractor and the residents.
A simple way for you to do it internally is to go through your list and see who hasn't picked their trash stickers up in the last 2 or 3 years. If they haven't picked up their trash stickers in the last 2 or 3 years, they're not putting their trash stickers on their trash. I'm not saying a year, but I'm saying the program's been in effect for 3 or 4 years now.
Mm-hmm.
They should at least be on the second set of trash stickers.
Okay.
Other questions or comments?
I'm looking at the chart, and I'd like to say first that I'm not really, I've never been in favor of pay as you go as a member of the community. But looking at the chart, I find it hard to reconcile the argument that whatever's wrong, whatever we're doing wrong, it's the fault of someone else putting the trash in our trash. I just find it hard to believe when I look at the chart and I see that our tonnage of 1,052 is higher than Leverett, is higher than Gill, is higher than Charlemont, is higher than Coleraine, is higher than Montague, is higher than Windle, is higher than Conway, and there's other communities that is higher than in Erving, and not just by a little bit, by a considerable amount. That tells me that somebody in town's not doing the right thing. I don't know what it is, but what I do know as a select board member is that it costs us hundreds of thousands of dollars to deal with this problem every year. At some point, members of the community are going to have to offset that cost, just like every other community in Franklin County does.
So, to that point, Selectman Beverly, when you all, and I know you all met with Jan multiple times before you ever implemented this program, to begin with the freemium program that you've been offering. I think you'll recall that maybe Jan communicated back then there Erving was one of 2 towns in the county who had not adopted the pay-as-you-throw program. The other one, I believe, was Conway, which there's a footnote in Brendan's memo. They're also the second highest in that chart. Mm-hmm. And so I do think that there is some correlation between the communities that have a structured program and trying to constrict that use and be maybe a little more resourceful with those stickers, and for the 2 towns that are not or had not traditionally been running a pay-as-you-throw program. I'm not advocating for a pay-as-you-throw, but there is a correlation there. I don't know if this new change that Conway's making to their program is going to be a sustained effort and you're going to see a consistent drop, or whether that's a 1-year dip. We don't know, right? And we can continue to monitor our other neighbors and see what those changes look like over time. I think to your point, though, we have consistently been high. Our disposal, the tonnage per household has been consistently high for the entire county across all the towns. It's just been true, and it's been true for years, and it has nothing to do with Casella as the specific vendor and the concerns. We should address those, but it was true when we had USA. It has been true. And so we have just always just attributed it as a cost that we incur. I think the question is more for all of you to consider, is this a cost that you want to continue to incur regardless of what it costs? Or is there some other way that you want to approach it, whether that's through community education, whether that's through some other type of outreach that we do with our residents? Is there more enforcement or outreach that we do with the vendor? However you all want to approach it, I'm happy to work on. I think that this is a helpful presentation just to understand what does it look like for our neighbors and what does it look like for us. But us being over 1,000 pounds per household per year has been a consistent number for many, many years. Go ahead.
So I agree, Bill, at some point we may have to do pay-as-you-throw. But I think that we could implement some programs that might reduce our tonnage. Partly if we open a transfer station. Right now, you have 2 choices. If it's allowable recycling, you can put it in the recyclable. If it's not, you have to throw it in the trash. So that's going to increase your trash, because you don't have any other place to take it to recycle. And a lot of these other communities have free sheds and places to do that. So that might help keep their trash down. If they did recycle more, I think it would. Also, we have a lot of public buildings, and I don't know how much trash we're actually contributing to the tonnage with all our public buildings. That was one of the things when we were doing the comparison in Gill. They don't have very many public buildings. We do. And if we could institute a compost program with the senior center and the school, that would reduce the tonnage. Are they really truly recycling as much as they can be? I'm not pointing any fingers. These are just questions that I was thinking, how do we get our trash tonnage down, right? Well, instead of throwing all the plastic and the glass in the trash, throw it in the recycling. But are we doing that in our buildings, in our public buildings?
So that's a fair question. And on the composting question, Erving was one of the schools. I think almost every school in the county eventually got to the point where it was composting. Erving was one of them. During the COVID period, a lot of those programs stopped because everything went to individually packaged meals for the students. Erving, I believe, is one of the last schools to not restore the program. So we've already had preliminary conversations with Principal Gannon and the staff to understand from the county what that program looked like, how it's been revitalized in all the other schools. And we were tentatively aiming for an implementation in the coming school year. Obviously, there's some concerns. It's not perfect. Getting the students to sort all the food waste from the other waste can be a challenge. But we've already been having those meetings, and we've asked Casella to provide us with a cost for the food waste dumpster, because it is a separate dumpster from the rest of the collection. And there was a conversation as we aim to restore the meal program here to add the food waste from this facility to that as well. So that is absolutely something we can do to at least reduce the amount of wet weight that we're putting into the trash stream from the public buildings. Doing a town-wide composting program is something that some towns, Gill is one of the towns that has done it. They found a voluntarily participatory program that some households have adopted. They found one centralized location where the county's helped managing that. And so there are options that you can also provide for the residents who would like to take that wet waste out of the trash stream. Maybe they don't want to compost on their property, but they would rather bring it to a centralized location, and all of those households collaborating on that provides enough material that it can be composted. So those are other things that we can also look into.
So I'm thinking that if we work on the composting part, we work on educating people on what is recyclable and what's not recyclable, and it's not really a, right now it's like, I should recycle that, but it's easier to throw it in the trash rather than rinse it out, right? I mean, that's really not the mindset we want to have. We want to have, if it's recyclable, it should go in your recycling container. And I really do want the question answered about what do we do about the 4 and 5 unit complexes that we have that we're currently picking up their trash. Doesn't seem like a lot, but if Gill's not doing that or other communities are not doing that, and they're making those commercial buildings take care of their own trash, it's going to reduce their tonnage.
Yeah, but in Erving, how many of those buildings do we have?
There's probably at least 10, 15. There's quite a few.
Of 4 and 5 plus family buildings?
Well, it depends. Is it 3 units? Is it 4 units?
We've been collecting up through 4.
I
Yeah.
thought 4 was our cutoff, right?
That's what I was asking. What is the
Okay,
cutoff
I
in
think it's
Irving?
4.
And there's at least 10. I mean, that's 40 units. I mean, that's a lot of, when you think about that, that's a lot of household trash. I'm not trying to, every other community that is in our grouping probably doesn't collect 4 unit trash, okay? They probably say you have a commercial building, you have to provide the dumpster. And when we're comparing numbers, I would like it to be apples to apples. And I think some of that's lost in there. I agree that 1,000 is too many, okay? I think our tonnage is way too much, but I think we could encourage recycling, we could encourage composting. We could explore the possibility of a transfer station where we could, instead of the option is, if it doesn't go in recycling, you throw it in the trash.
I would have a question, and we don't have to answer it tonight, but what is it that we would collect at a transfer station that we don't collect in recycling today?
Oh, there's
Outside of bulky items, which we do.
styrofoam
quarterly.
is one thing that doesn't get collected, and that fills up quickly.
Does Mass do that in a transfer station?
You can recycle styrofoam now.
You
You
can.
can.
Yeah.
I know it is recyclable, but not all areas allow it or
Right.
Right.
do it or
And-
handle it.
I don't have the answer to that, but I would
Yeah,
love
like I said.
to explore some of the possibility. I mean, there are just some things, and then I think also what truly is recyclable and what truly isn't recyclable. I mean, we've kind of lost sight of that. I mean, I recycle, but I'll be honest, I don't recycle everything I could recycle. I could do a better job, and I actually recycle. So, you know, it's just that sort of thing. It's easy to throw it in the trash because you're not paying for the trash. You're sticking a sticker. You're putting it down at the end of your driveway. They're picking it up. Just before we move forward with the pay as you throw, maybe we say to our residents, we all have to do a better job of recycling, and we're doing this as a town, and see what then happens to the tonnage. And I do think that there is a problem with the sticker program. Because if Casella's not picking up, if they're picking up trash and has no stickers now, how is that going to work if we do a pay-as-you-throw?
Fair question.
We technically already do. We just give some free first. So it's like a mixed model.
Right, but
And I think one of the things, it was probably me that said it when we talked about this first time, was bringing the number of free down.
Yeah,
Because so many people are clearly not
Yeah.
using them up in 1 year. So
Right.
definitely.
whether we decide to expire them, which was another conversation because they're all the same color and we don't expire them right now every year, like some towns do, or at least reduce it so that we're not increasing the volume that are out there whenever it does become full pay, that people will keep using endlessly.
Right.
I'm not saying that I personally think that we should reduce it because I don't think that we need to be that high. And I think it also drives the same. We offer these programs, this education every year. We send out all the information about all the recycling opportunities. If there's no incentive to it, I don't know that that's going to significantly move the needle.
I agree that we give too many free trash stickers. Okay,
Yeah.
we do. I mean, I think if we went back, well, we don't keep it, but if we went back and we saw what the average person, before they come in and get another set of trash stickers, then you would see that it's too many stickers in a year's time. I mean, I think the first time I was, I don't know, a year and a half into mine, and I mean, I have 4 other people that are in my house most of the time, so I have a lot of trash sometimes. But it still took me a very long time to go through my first batch. So, yeah.
I think I started last year's stickers in July.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So,
Yes.
I thought we were going to be provided with some information tonight about the compost program. That's what I have in my notes from last time. So I don't know if
Then I have
that's
failed you royally. As I said, then I have failed you royally, and I will fix that.
So if we could get that, I'd be interested in seeing it.
Yes.
Jackie, I hear what you're saying about recycling, but I'm going to be honest. To me, I grew up recycling. Like that, recycling became a thing when I was a kid. I don't think there's any education out there. If someone's going to recycle, they're going to recycle. If they're not going to recycle, they're not going to recycle. I have a friend who jokingly says, I do enough of it with other things, and the jar of the peanut butter is a pain in the butt to clean, so it's going in the trash.
I'm not going to disagree with you. That was probably one of the things
So,
I would toss on.
I don't think more education is going to move the needle. I also don't personally think, for the few bags that are slipping through that are not stickered, I don't think that's explaining 1,000 pounds coming out of every residence. Do I think they're perfect? No. I have the hopper, the dumper kind. Do I notice that they don't always lift my lid and my trash bin just goes in their truck? Absolutely. I think the stickers, when we started the sticker program, was supposed to be that, hey, residents, we have a problem, we need to be better, wake up call. So I think we've already given that to the residents, and that seemed like it worked for a bit. There was a drop for a little while, but now it's just climbing again. So I don't think the sticker program is necessarily being taken as seriously as it should, and sometimes it is putting that $3. I'm going to be Dan Hammock for a minute. I'm going to take out my $3 bills and I'm going to say, I'm going to tape these to my trash bag and then I'm going to put it on the curb. Sometimes that is what people need to see because they need to know what's coming out of their wallet. And I don't personally want to pay for trash. I also know, sitting here year after year, how much it's gone up. And we looked at a transfer station, and I think it was well over $200,000 just to even start it here in town. It wasn't a inexpensive endeavor, and that didn't even count staff time or anything like that. So,
Well,
and I feel like there's enough other places. If you have, there's a million places that you can donate things. There's, you know, I don't know if it's just people don't have time or they choose not to, but there are ways, if you have things that you don't want any longer, there are places, and, you know, that you can take things and donate or get rid of.
well, I'm confused because the next part, which is the municipal waste collection and pay-as-you-throw policy, lists a transfer station in the heading. It talks about a transfer station. So,
It's a draft, obviously.
right, but hence my even bringing up a transfer station, because it's in the draft policy that's in the packet. So if we're not going to do that sort of thing, then
Technically, what we still maintain is a recycling center, and so people have the option to bring us their yard waste, in the sense of like brush and things of that nature, and we do process that. We are still able to process scrap metal and things of that nature, so we have that capacity down there, and we're licensed by DEP for that. We're not operating as a full transfer station. We're not permitted for that at this time, but it doesn't mean we couldn't apply for that permit. We have all the improvements to make, as Deb noted, and then we'd have to consider the staffing costs and the operational costs associated with that.
I mean, even at over 100,000 a year in curbside, I don't think we're going to offset that with transfer station costs.
no,
I
probably.
don't think that there's an ROI on that ever, even especially with staffing, and everything gets more expensive over time.
I
Doesn't
mean-
mean we shouldn't do it, but I don't know that it doesn't solve the cost issue
Right.
or offset the cost issue at all.
Well, and we also offer anything goes. So a lot of like the bigger bulky stuff people save up for all year.
True.
I know we do. We have our little corner, and that's where stuff goes, and then anything goes. That corner gets cleaned out. And so there's that too. So to see that we're still at over 1,000 pounds per household, comparatively to the other communities, that to me it's just like, what is it? Just because it's free?
Right. Is it inclusive of anything goes? It's not in those numbers, is it?
No.
It's separate from those numbers.
Separate.
Right.
Although that's probably our second best recycling program, because a lot of it doesn't get picked up.
No,
But
it
it leaves the
doesn't,
town,
yeah, it does.
or it goes somewhere else, not on the curb.
Yeah, the Anything Goes program that you offer is obviously quite unique for the county. And it's certainly at a premium. It's just shy of $30,000 a year to operate that program.
We'd also have to I think we have to think about that if we're increasing sticker costs, so that we don't suddenly have bigger piles, because they wait for that because there's no stickers required. Like there's got to be a balance there.
I've been saying for 2 years, anything goes needs to become a permit program.
A what?
A permit program.
Permit? Okay. I thought you said permanent.
Oh no,
It is
anyway,
permanent.
permanent program. There is
It's
no doubt
already
that is
that.
a permanent program. But I do think during this budget season that to me is an incredible luxury program that is offered by the town, and I think it's one of those things that maybe we should look at how that is done. And I mean, that's a program for years. We've talked about problems with illegal dumping and all kinds of things. And so I do wonder if it's time to start looking, and maybe people pay $25 a household. You get a little sign you stick in your yard, and that's how you participate.
I'll be honest, I wouldn't, because everything I put out was gone by, I put it out on a Sunday night, and Monday morning they come around and there's not a scrap of anything left. It's like some of the stuff they take, I'm like, okay, I had it out there because it was trash, but okay. But
Okay, so can we use your house?
yeah,
I've got a storm door that's been sitting there for like 3 or 4 days now. So if anybody needs an outdoor storm door, it's a 30 by 80, please drop by.
This is like that
So-
radio program where you swap.
Swap shop on
yeah,
Saturday morning.
stop shot.
So we also talked about toters and like single stream and things that were stuff that they had identified as potential cost saving measures within the contract we have, or different
Right.
ways to get there.
Right. And I need to bring you some numbers on
Yeah,
that.
we need more
Just
info on
say
that too.
if-
That was another open item.
If we're going to do that, if we're going to do where they pick it up and dump it,
Right.
then that that's a permit fee, right? That's what you do.
Oh, yeah, and you give them
Yeah.
a registered house list, and
Right.
they only
I mean,
stop there. It
that's
doesn't
what-
matter if you have
yeah.
a toter or a
That's
sticker.
what Montague is
You could
using
do that
now.
instead of a sticker, even.
But Montague is bag, or you can do bag or
Right, but it's
sticker.
still
yeah.
They're still stickering, though.
they're stickering,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but
In some
yeah.
communities, to incentivize the recycling, provide the larger recycling toters, and then a smaller capacity trash toter to try to hopefully encourage more of the recycling and limit the amount of solid waste coming into the trash stream.
I agree we give too many stickers away. I'd be fine with cutting down the amount of stickers. I guess the question is we haven't changed colors, so is it a cost thing or is it, I mean, we just kept
Changing
it.
colors?
Yeah,
Never
on the,
bothered.
on the trash stickers.
So-
We've never bothered.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can absolutely change them every year if you wanted to. All the towns around us, nobody's changing their colors unless
Okay.
there's a systematic reason to change them. They're not changing them year after year. The idea is that once they've been purchased, say,
Right.
as a Greenfield resident, when I purchase my stickers, if I buy a couple months worth and keep them in my drawer, they don't change on July 1st to another color. So the theory is if you've issued them for the year here in Irving, they're still good in August
liability.
and afterwards, right? If you wanted to make a switch, if you were revamping your program and you wanted to make that change, we absolutely could do that for you the next time we order. But we would have to answer that question to the residents. What if you still have a stockpile of stickers in your drawers? Are they still good? Are they still going to be honored for a period of time, or would they discontinue? I think if that's the plan, I would encourage you to choose a date in the future that you're going to make the switch and then communicate to the residents that the stickers you have will be accepted until a certain date and that new stickers will be issued, whatever color they're going to be, as of X date for an implementation. I don't think we'd want to do that with short notice.
The thing is, we give so many trash stickers in a year that, and I know I'm going to get more in the next fiscal year.
Mm-hmm.
So if I don't use all my stickers and my friend needs to have their trash for whatever the reason, I mean, there's still, I think that's why our tonnage is so high, because there's no, I mean, we've been in this program for 3 or 4 years now. I mean, we give away so many, yeah, and then you're not going to question that I went through all my trash stickers in a year, and I'm just going to get my, whatever my allotment is, I forgot what it was, but,
Right.
and yeah, and then they get used by not necessarily residents, so.
Agreed.
So,
Yeah, but with that theory, you'd have to say almost every household in Irving is doing that, because our trash poundage per household is almost double a whole bunch of communities. So, and I can tell you, no one's getting my stickers.
No, but if you take, like, I on an average produce 2 bags of trash a week, right? And but somebody's producing a lot of trash, because if I'm only producing 2 bags of trash a week, and we're at 1,000 pounds per household, my 2 bags of trash is not equaling that 1,000 pounds.
Absolutely, correct.
So what I'm saying is, I know that when we went with the sticker program, we thought to tighten it a little and cause, make it less likely for somebody to illegally use our trash program. But I think that it's kind of gotten away from us because we didn't change colors, right? And so you have the stockpile, and then you fall back into those bad habits that when we implemented the trash sticker program, which was, yeah, sure, Mom, you can throw your trash. They pick it up for free. I got like 10 extra stickers here. Then all of a sudden, I don't have 2 bags of trash. Now I have 4 bags of trash. Yeah. And that's still not exceeding my year thing. And so I just think there are other avenues to explore, or maybe we need to tighten our belt a little bit before we go on at $3 a trash sticker. I'm not saying that we're not going to end up there, but I'm saying that we could find ways to reduce some of what's happening here by tightening our own belts, by composting, by encourage recycling, and that sort of thing, and finding out about what other communities do with the 3, 4, and 5 unit apartments.
We can absolutely research that.
I think, 3 and 4, I guess, because we cap it for
Right, you cap it 4, okay, yeah.
I know that part of the conversation a few years ago was after you implemented the 3 on average per week per household, 156 that we issued. There was a conversation about maybe at some point revisiting that. I guess that's what this conversation may lead to, and the potential to go down, if I'm remembering those conversations correctly, down to, approximately 2 per week per household. So something closer to 104. Still would be higher than any other town is handing out for by right trash disposal. But it would reduce the number of stickers going out that you're then liable for.
But it's not
So-
free, well, sorry.
That's okay. Let's, because we have other topics tonight,
Yep.
and I know everybody's here for stuff. Let's make sure recap. We got all the asks, the data and stuff we want for next discussion.
Yep.
And then did we issue 3 months worth or 4 months worth?
Told us to issue through September 30. So you told us to
months.
issue 3 months worth, and that we'd have guidance in September.
Okay. Just want to be thoughtful of that
Yep.
because we need to do something by then, whatever that is, or extend it.
Yeah,
So information about different offerings that would reduce costs from Casella's standpoint, toters, single stream, whatever those are. Composting information. Information on,
Residential composting, not just for the school, but specifically residential.
yeah, residential program, which Casella offers. I think it was in some of their documentation as well. 3 and 4 family, are they eligible in the surrounding towns for curbside or not?
Right.
And then, did I miss anything that anyone else had brought up?
well, I just want to make a comment, when you say 3 bags a week, that's not true, because we allow 2 of the
6.
15 to be 1 sticker. So that could be 6 bags a week, but you're only using 3 stickers.
Of course. I was
I
referring to the
think
highest capacity.
I think we should probably revisit 1 sticker, 1 bag. Doesn't, if it's a black bag or a white bag, it's 1 sticker, not 2 2 bags for 1 sticker.
Got it. Understood.
Fair. I also just did the math really quick, and somebody can double check it. Someone else, if they want to. Thank you, Brian. But we have 3 stickers times 2 bags at a cap of 35 pounds per bag times 52 weeks a year we've been issuing. That's over almost 11,000 pounds a year per household. If you filled them all to 35 and dumped them. So we're not even putting out 1/10 of the stickers we're giving out in weight.
Right.
Just in weight. I understand bags can be light, but still. We're talking about weight of trash here. So just to give that perspective of how many bags potentially are out there, stickers wise, and that even at that rate doesn't mean that at 2 per we'd go down. Even if it was single bag, doesn't even mean it would go down. Or that we'd have a lot of purchased stickers necessarily. I also wanted to understand the charts, some of the data there. Just make sure I got the right page. The one chart shows the regional comparison for FY24, and then there's a pay-as-you-throw program, little geographic below that shows by color pounds per household. And is that on a calendar year? Because those numbers are way different than the numbers up in the chart. Because they're showing Wendell, Montague, Greenfield, New Salem at the 1,250 to 1,500 pounds per household. And then up in the table, it's 850 for Wendell, 750 for Montague. And it's half of what's shown there. So that seems really odd to me that if I'm reading the table and the legend of that map correctly versus the table data from FY24, it's half, potentially half as much in the table as there is in the map. Because that tannish color, I believe, is 1,250 to 1,500, if I'm following that correctly. So we could get some, I'm assuming a lot of this came from the solid waste district and Jan. So if we could get some clarity on that. If it is calendar year versus fiscal year, that's fine, but that's really odd to me that we're doubling it over that same shifted 12 months, and the numbers are nearly double sometimes. But I might be
What's
reading it wrong.
the largest size bag we allow out curbside right now?
33 gallons.
Okay. So is it 2 15s for one sticker?
Right.
And then, or
A
a
33.
sticker on a 33-gallon bag? Okay,
Right.
one thing I know Dan brought up at the finance committee meeting was that the town used to do clear trash bags. And I wonder if that would be helpful. And it was, as he explained it, it was if when it was picked up, if they saw recycling in it, it just got left. So I don't know. I know he said that some residents were a little concerned because then everybody could see what was in your trash. I know when we moved to town, it was clear trash bags. We were told that by several neighbors, make sure you have clear trash bags. So I don't know if that is something to go back to. I know personally if we only issued stickers till September 30th, I would personally say for the rest of the fiscal year, 1 sticker per week, 33-gallon bag, that's that. Anything else you have to pay for stickers.
So the select board can set the rules for what your program picks up. So we can, whatever you all decide on as a group, you can update the rules and we can issue that. So if you want to set a bag color, we can absolutely do that. I think it always comes down to a question of where would they get these clear bags.
Yeah.
And so if you can't readily access them in the store,
Okay.
the question would be, do we need to order them? If you order them,
Sell bags.
well, and that's, so there are vendors that do this for towns.
Right.
Yeah.
And when I go to the conferences, there's probably a half a dozen vendors that are all happy to talk to you about how they can give you the color bag you want for your community. And when Greenfield started theirs before they did stickers, it was a green bag that
Yep.
was curbside. So it's not that we couldn't do it. We could. I would just say that if we're going to go in that direction, maybe the bag becomes the sticker.
Yeah.
Then that way everybody's using, say it was a clear bag, you're doing that, it's Erving's clear bag. And then you would negate the need for the sticker because they'd be using, you would have the town of Erving on it or something like that. That's what they typically look like. So we could explore that cost for you. If I would just be concerned that we would not always have compliance from that standpoint. We'd be rejecting a lot on the curb. And then the second question you had was if you keep the program the way it is, that you would
I would
suggest
Yeah,
reducing from
for September, if September 30th is the deadline, I would just say our trash runs on a fiscal year, right? When we issue
run on
stickers,
fiscal.
I would just personally say one sticker, 33-gallon bag, or 2 15 gallons. But that's it. 1 sticker per week per household, and see what happens.
So, go ahead, Jackie.
Well, we have so many stickers out there now.
I would change the color.
Yeah, oh, yeah, oh, that's
So
what I
it
was
would be-
saying.
yeah,
You would
yeah,
have to change
yeah.
the color because we have
Yeah.
so many stickers out there now. And then you would have to reissue those people that haven't picked up. You'd have to go through it again and reissue every time.
You would have to reissue to everybody
I
because it would be a
wouldn't-
new color. And as of October 1st, now we're using black stickers or whatever. And
But
this
just
is
But hold on, I wouldn't expire them, first of all, because people already have them. May have paid for them, because we do sell some stickers. I would say we reduce it to a number, and then as people have to come and buy them, you'll know who's been using a lot of stickers really quickly. Because if you have 1.5 years of stickers on the shelf, you're not buying any for 2 years. But if you've been using them or more, you're going to be buying them right away or borrowing them from your neighbor who's going to run out sooner too, one or the other.
I hear you. I just personally think if we're not going to discontinue stickers, except for maybe those that have been purchased, and we're not going to change color or do those things, then we are just kicking the can down the road, and the problem is just going to continue. To me, there needs to be a cutoff where we say these stickers can't be used anymore. This is the new program. This is going to be in effect as of this date. I know personally, we probably have 200 stickers sitting at home. I mean, we don't go through them
Less
that quickly.
than 1 year's worth.
Okay.
Because
we
we
don't go
started
through
our
them that
packet
quickly.
in July.
So
Last year's
I
packet.
can imagine
I
that
guess
there
if
are
you have
households
300.
out there that have stickers in abundance. And so if you don't actually say, this is the deadline, this is the date, the program changes, why are we all here? Because we're just kicking that can. So
Yes, but it heads in that direction instead of doing it just in one shot, right? Because those who are using more will start
they'll run
incurring
out.
it sooner,
But again,
and then it'll bridge its way.
the whole point of the sticker program was to stop that. And it obviously
it-
has not worked.
According to the
So-
data, it went down 30%. So,
So
if we can continue to decrease it, then that should help.
So we
But
did decrease.
hold on. There's another issue here, or question here, is There's a reference to Conway going to pay-as-you-throw after 52,
Mm-hmm.
which is similar to what we just talked about.
Mm-hmm.
And it says 21 reduction. Is that reduced number in FY24 data above?
No, it's not. That was, I don't know the exact data, but Janet Mean told me that specifically. I don't
Okay.
know the amount.
So it was
That's
like
what she said.
after.
Yeah, it was after the 900 something pounds.
Okay, so that isn't reflective of the
No.
decrease. Okay, thank you. And then on the chart underneath that, there's only one town that says curbside, which is Gill.
Yeah.
Pretty sure they're not the only curbside town.
It's Montague and Gill.
And us are the only curbside towns?
Yes.
Yes,
Really?
Greenfield is, but
Everything's
Greenfield
drop
does
off.
it themselves.
Yeah, and they're not on the list for that reason.
they have to.
right?
Do they take every other town takes
Wow.
it to the transfer station?
Everybody else is either transfer station or private collection service.
And also, Jake, on that map, also includes bulky race, the one that you were talking about for the per household.
It includes bulky waste?
Yeah, that one does. That's why I think the pounds are a little bit off. It still seems a little bit too high, but that's what it says, and it's including the bulky race collection. So that's accurate.
Oh, I see there. Yeah, okay.
So
Oh, because they log that by town? So like when we've done the events you're talking about, I'm thinking of anything goes, but you're talking about the collection events. Okay, all right.
Oh, like the ones that they do down at the highway department, and people can come
That's
in.
what you're saying?
That's
Okay.
in
That's
that chart
logged.
as well.
Right.
not in the data, not in like in like that. If you see like this one, this graph is in this.
In the
not,
map.
not in the
in the
actual,
color map.
Not in the actual ones above. That's just actual solid waste and
Okay.
actual trash.
So your anything goes would be collected in there, and potentially the
Yeah.
county-wide ones, because when people come to any of those sites that are open
Okay.
to the county, you say what town you're from,
Yeah.
and they keep track of that.
So that can explain why there's such a discrepancy between that little map
Yeah.
number and the chart number. Okay.
Which would indicate some, like, I'm just gonna, not picking on Montague, but if I'm reading the colors right, they have almost half of their annual solid waste comes from bulky waste pickup.
I know that Janet Mean
huge.
told me they have a Montague has an issue. She's told me specifically what it was. This was like in last August. I was talking to her about it. They have an issue that's like really bad that they need to fix. That's causing a lot of excess tonnage for them.
Okay,
I forgot what the specific
sure.
issue was, but there's something wrong with Montague with that. But
Okay.
that's why Gill's I think the best candidate to look at. But Montague has some issues too.
I do find it interesting. You've got Wendell and Conway so high, and they're Wendell's transfer. There's transfer stations, so
Yes.
you have to even bring it there and buy a permit, and at least now buy a sticker too, or a bag or whatever. So,
Yeah.
and my math was wrong. Thank you for double checking that. It was about 5,000 pounds for the number of stickers we're giving away. Max, you could max out, but still, when we're saying 1,000 per household is too high, we're
Right.
giving stickers out that
Be
could
5
accumulate
times.
to 5 times that. I mean, it doesn't get there in any of these models under 1,000, like just by encouraging paying. So, I think there's time for us to have another discussion before we need to make that decision. Though we have to do something to let residents know.
Do you want to carry this to your August 31st meeting?
Would like to.
Okay.
Are we going to have data by that time? And
Yeah.
just FinCom have a chance to meet between now and then, potentially to look at it?
I don't know if we'll have the opportunity to meet, but
Okay.
we will at least be able to have a joint meeting.
Okay. All right, then let's carry it for that. Is there any other data that anyone would like to have leading up to that meeting?
We're going to go over composting programs. I'll follow up with the school and the county on that. We're going to get some more clarification about if we're going to use Gill as the comparison, how they're handling curbside collection for multifamilies. So I'll get you that. Get the information on the capital outlay for the toter conversation that we're having. I know there was a conversation about changing stickers. I already know what the cost of stickers are, and changing the color just means ordering new. So that's not necessarily a new cost, other than what we would replace for the year. But you mentioned clear bags. Do you want me to find out what clear bags would cost?
Not if they're. I didn't realize they're difficult to find.
They're very
They're
hard.
different.
That's
Yeah.
In traditional sizes, like the
Yeah.
33 gallon.
Yeah, commercial you can find them, but
Yeah.
you don't find them at the grocery store
Yeah.
as easily or anything.
You get the white ones, I think is as close as you're going to get. Okay, so I won't do that. And I will follow up with Casella and the county on the concerns about non-stickered material being collected. So we will have that addressed. Any other action items in the next 2 weeks?
I am slightly curious on how many people haven't picked up their trash stickers in the last, it's been 2 years. So in the last 24 months, how many people haven't picked up trash stickers?
How many households?
Right.
Okay.
Is there,
We can look back through the records and
Yeah.
give you an approximation.
it was just a thought.
I mean, the one thing that, in full transparency, and we all knew this when we went down this road, there's no way to fully capture exactly once they leave our office where they went.
Oh, yeah.
Right? If people share them, left them, I know I've had anecdotal reports from new tenants in apartments that clearly there were a year's worth handed out to that unit, and when they moved in, they're not there anymore, according to them. So it's not like the person apparently is leaving them behind for them.
Yeah, they are now.
So does that mean they threw them away? Does that mean they moved with their stickers that won't do them any good somewhere else? I don't know. So I mean, I do want to acknowledge that we can control what happens from our office, but once it leaves, I don't know exactly how people are handling those transactions. If they're sharing them with their neighbor or their family members, there's no way for us to account for that.
I'm just looking at my notes from last time, and I don't know if this is information that people still want. I just know it's what I had written down. Tonnage for the last 9 years of trash. Annual amount of stickers printed versus how many are actually picked up, along with including the number of extra stickers purchased, is information people asked for.
Okay, we'll grab those two.
When we're checking on some of that data, if we can just confirm that Irving's bulky waste, our bulky waste pickup is included in that bulky chart. I'd just like to know, or the map, not just the county one. And then do they have data from Gill before they did stickers versus after? Like,
Find it. I mean,
no, okay. If they did, just curious over like the year before, 2 years before, 2 years after, like what changed? Because I'm assuming they went to full pay. So, but if they don't have the data, that's okay. Just did their numbers really change?
All the
Because we
towns-
also recycle more than they do.
All of the towns report to solid waste district. The solid waste district reports to DEP for us.
Okay.
So the information absolutely exists.
Got it. Okay. And so while I get the comments about it, we do recycle and trash more than Gill. So
Yes, we do.
I don't, we're doing better on that too. So, and I think it's more than the percentage higher household count. So,
There's just a lot of material that comes out of Erving. And I don't know exactly what, I know we have a lot of theories about why, and I don't know that we've ever settled on one convincing source.
We'll just
But
blame Amazon.
definitely during the pandemic, when a lot of people were working from home or remotely operating and getting a lot of things delivered to them, there was more cardboard on the streets, but that was true for the whole county. Some material just remained high after that period. And Erving, for whatever reason, we've just always had a higher level than, and sometimes that looks like recycling, but that does mean that there was more material flowing through your systems. And it also is similar in solid waste. So I don't know what that root cause is.
Do we have, I'm looking at the chart, so the regional comparison, that is from fiscal year 24. When did Conway implement their program?
after
I
that,
can't recall the
Recently?
exact year, but it was around the same time that Jan was coming to meet with our select board to try to get us to do a similar freemium program. So it was around the same fiscal year. I don't think it was the exact same fiscal year.
Yeah.
So when we started ours was approximately the same time they started theirs.
So could we possibly get updated numbers for Conway if possible, just to see, like, since they implemented, I know they said there was a 20% reduction at that time,
Yep.
but have they seen any better success than that since, if they've had it for a couple of years? Like, has that reduction stayed? Has it fluctuated?
And obviously there's a program with their transfer station as opposed to a curbside collection. So it's not
Yeah.
an exact comparable, but we absolutely can get that for you.
Okay.
Can
And
I
that-
ask a question about the regional composition? Does that include recycling, or is that's just household trash?
in the map,
No, not in the map in the table. FY24 data from regional municipalities.
just trash.
Yeah, that should just be
That's
trash.
Just trash.
That's
not
just solid
recycling.
waste, not recycling.
Yep.
Down in the pay fact sheet, that was the other one I had for just a follow-up question. It notes how many municipalities, cities and towns throughout Mass have curbside versus drop-off, but pay as you throw. Then when it talks about the averages, it doesn't separate curbside from transfer. If that data is available, I think it'd be interesting to, if there's a difference, to understand, is the transfer station change the number at all significantly, up or down? I would think the convenience would increase it for the curbside ones, but I don't know. That's just an opinion. It might be the other way around.
Okay.
From our towns near us, it seems like it's the other way around.
Because I think they take their things that aren't recyclable and put them at like the transfer station. They have like the free stores and stuff like that, so they're not going in the trash.
It's possible.
That's fair, but
Yeah.
some of the numbers on the transfer stations are way higher than
Yeah.
Gill's curbside. So
Yeah.
it doesn't, I don't know.
Okay.
And then, while I'm not saying we shouldn't still strive to A, bring the cost down, figure out a way to offset it and bring down the volume, we're below the 2023 average for all pay-as-you-throw households in Massachusetts, which is 1,100 per household. So I agree with regionally in our area, we should be comparative to that too. I'm sure city it's different, you know, in some of those other ones that are in there, but on an average basis, we are below average slightly.
From the state.
So, you know, I think it's 162, so what, almost half of the towns and cities in the Commonwealth. So we spent quite a while on it. I just added to it. Anything else before we move on to the next topic? On trash, curbside, or otherwise. Okay. Review and potential vote on draft request for proposals for the redevelopment of the former IP mill.
Please
I think
pass over.
well, I was going to say we could have some discussion about it, but we're not ready to finalize it. I guess the question is, does Capital have any input? Do the members who are here have anything that they would like to add?
Do you want me to recap where we left off?
Yes,
Well,
please.
okay.
Hi, very quickly, because I know you all are on a tight schedule. So the select board has been asked by myself and Glenn, town planner Glenn, to review the RFP and prepare it for release. We need to make a move to try to sell the property. The Capital and FinCom and the voters all supported at town meeting additional appropriation to help with site readiness, and that is sort of the lens that we're taking the updates to the RFP document from. As we've been working with our partners at Mass Development to get ready with the draft, there was a lot of feedback on the comparative criteria and how to update the RFP in a way that hopefully is going to lead to a successful response. And so we worked through that with the board. Where we're continuing to work is on the comparative criteria piece, and specifically the section that talks about what that site readiness funding can be used for. We don't want to be so restrictive that we've told a potential developer, here's the contours, unless they truly are the contours, because that alone may decide whether or not they even want to respond. At the same point, we don't want to be so vague, so it's unclear what it can be used for, and then they come back to the select board and there's a proposal and they go, by no means would we allow the money to be used for that. So you want to give guidance so that they have a good shot at success from the review, but you don't want to give so much guidance that we've ruled something out that you would have been favorable to. And so I think that the question that the select board, please correct me if I'm wrong, was contending with is whether or not, because Capital supported this request and brought it to town meeting, you wanted to have a review and a say on what its allowable uses are and be part of that comparative criteria review, or is it fine for the select board to work on that review and not have Capital weigh in on that piece?
Has that? I'm just trying to look. I'm not playing on my phone.
No,
I don't have
that's
a
fine.
tablet, so I'm opening my town email. Was that? I'm just looking. Was the RFP sent to us?
It wasn't. That's why I'm asking to pass
okay.
over it.
Okay.
It was sent to the select board 2 weeks ago. I had hoped that I was going to be able to review that section. I know Glenn has made updates to it, but I didn't have enough time before I got back in front of all of you tonight to go through it one more time and make sure it was ready.
Okay.
But I am happy to send that to you this week for review if Capital wants to weigh in on that.
I don't necessarily know if we want to weigh in, but I think I would at least like people to read it and see it.
Of course.
Yeah.
It's very, I mean, for anybody who's been working on this project for the last several years, it is the same document that we've been working from for years. So a lot of it's going to feel familiar, but you've made some improvements to the site. We've updated that language. Mass Development was clear with us, and our partners at FRCOG in the planning department were also clear with us that maybe we were a little too ambitious with the level of submissions that we were expecting. These aren't quick responses. This is a very thoughtful document that has to be put together, and we were asking for like conceptual plans and all these things to be put together with a very clear vision of what the final outcome is. And most developers, they have a great concept, They have some loose ideas of how this is all going to come together, but there's so many moving pieces for them to be that well defined and firm about what the proposal is, to the point where they can give you, conceptual plans on blueprint paper that you would see. I mean, that's a level of detail that is probably unrealistic, and it would cost tens of thousands of dollars just to do the application for a project that they may not get.
Which would be completely prohibitive.
Right. So they were encouraging us to be thoughtful about what is it that the board really needs to know to be able to come to a recommendation that we would take to town meeting or whatever the next steps are going to be to talk to the voters, not unlike what we did for Care Drive. And if we can temper down some of the expectations so it was a realistic ask, that you would likely have more submissions to review. So we've spent a lot of time sort of paring down that document to be something that's a little more streamlined, a little more realistic, more high-level concept, as opposed to like detailed plans. So that's a lot of what you're seeing in there. And then overhaul of the comparative criteria.
Did you have a tentative release date that you were aiming for?
Sooner than later. So tentatively, the board had originally put on the draft that you'll see. I was hoping for this week, and then the board looked at it and said, this isn't ready yet. We need to review it at least one more time. That was the goal for tonight. So we'd already talked about shifting it. So we will shift it again. So hopefully the goal was to release it late August, early September, with a due date in October. We really want to get this out and hopefully in front of developers as quickly as possible, have them walk the site before it's fall, and hopefully garner some interest. There have been folks calling and asking, when is this going to go out for release? And so we have a few folks that we already know are waiting to see what we all have in mind for this release.
Okay. If the board agrees that we just scheduled a joint meeting for the 31st, so would that be okay to give Capital 2 weeks to just
Absolutely.
read it over? And
Yeah, absolutely, sure.
okay.
Wonderful.
Okay. Review and discussion regarding proposed complete streets improvements for Church and North Street.
We're on a roll, so let's just keep rebuilding it.
We'll keep rolling. Thank you, Glenn. So we had a first look at these just very briefly, and then there was a public session about them. And I guess kind of two avenues here. One, any particular feedback that the board should be aware of, everyone, from the public session? Two, is any feedback from, finance or capital in regards to the what's proposed so far. Obviously, it's new, and we're going to go through iterations, and may or may not get to anything, but we're going to try.
Can I ask, I wasn't able to attend the public session, and looking at this, I think I understand what both options are, but could we just do like a real quick high level of what those two options are?
And there's a lot of detail on very tiny pictures, and so it's hard to zoom in and see
There
it all.
is.
So you
Chicanes, no chicanes.
a lot of conversation about chicanes.
No shit.
About, and
Oh,
chicanes
yes, chicanes.
are...
Canes are a physical.
Oh, why can't they just call them
Bump out.
islands?
It's
kinda like
it's-
that, yeah.
Creates
Okay.
curvature in the road where there isn't any.
That's the point.
But you can
wanna
achieve that with paint.
You're forcing the driver
I could drive
to
over that.
turn the wheel.
Okay.
Is what you're doing, and because they have to turn the wheel to navigate around there, you have to go slower. So it's intended purpose. The bigger the chicane or the island, the more decorative it could be. The more it could be used for a planting area or something of that nature. The smaller it is, it's probably more just like a hard surface, like either concrete or we talked about the use of granite, things of that nature.
Okay.
So you have two concepts that they came back with after reviewing the data, going out and doing their own traffic counts. You saw a lot of pages in there of different turning. Yeah, they were out there counting traffic and doing all of that for a few days. So a lot of that is probably not all that meaningful to folks unless they really wanted to get into the data. So really the two options and pictures with the narrative discussion is really what most people are focusing on. And so in option one, you see two sidewalks running up both the east and west side of North Street, with the goal or the concept of having be northbound only one-way traffic from Route 2 at the intersection until you hit Church Street. That one-way will be carried into option 2 as well.
Before you continue, you're referring to after figures 9 or 10 there, where we actually get like the overlay of that area of the town map, right? Alt 1 and Alt 2.
Yes.
That's what you're referring to as the proposals? Okay. So it's the overhead of Route 2 North and Church.
Yes. Yes. And you would have a side crosswalk, excuse me, that would be put because there would be a sidewalk now on the west side. There would be a crosswalk added across Flag Hill as you're going in. The crosswalk that currently exists across North Street at approximately the intersection with the bridge that's being reconstructed would be enhanced. And they're talking about including a raised so there would be a 5-foot apron up. There would be a sort of like, I think it was 8-foot wide surface, and that would come back down with another apron on the other side. In addition, they also recommended the rapid flashing beacons that we've used at some other intersections. Okay. There was another option, option 2, which just proposed moving the whole sidewalk to the west side and doing something much wider. Those were both 5-foot sidewalks. The other option was to move it all to the west side. That did not seem to get the support from the residents who were in attendance. It was a pretty, I don't think there was a 100% answer on anything.
Any of it.
But I think there was more opposition to have the entire sidewalk shifted to the west side. And there was a lot of encouragement to have the sidewalk be on both sides. Which is an interesting development because from my understanding is it used to be all on the west side. And at some point, a section of your sidewalk as you experience it today was moved to the east side. So the one downside is in terms of that, the only way to make that happen is to go down to one lane. So we would have to be comfortable going down to this one-way traffic pattern and have the impacts considered of that. And I know both options explore this. But if you build that sidewalk in physically on both sides, there is no other option. You wouldn't be able to maintain 2 lanes of traffic. So we really would be making that commitment. On the Church Street side, in one option, you have a more generous shared use path, I think is what they called. And so the idea is that you would have something much larger than what exists today, 5 feet. It would be something closer to 8 or 10 feet. And it would be something that you could use for walking, bicycling, pushing strollers, all of the pedestrian related activities. You would also have the raised crosswalk that we described before, about 10 feet. I think this was a wider one, near Banbury Park in the fire station, crossing the way it normally is. There were no chicanes proposed for this one. North Street was the only street proposed for the chicanes, which without question, I think people were not interested in the chicanes. So that came out. There were a lot of concerns about Church Street. In this option would be a one-way south. And then the second option, Church Street remained two-way traffic. And there was a lot of concern about the impact specifically on Highland Avenue and remaining open access because Highland Avenue just by its nature is already restricted. Can't be widened. I think it's about 13 feet at its widest point. So doing anything to keep that turning radius tight by the bridge, even with the new alignment that we're going to have with the bridge, you really don't get a lot of movement there. And so it remains tight, and restricting everybody to have to come off of North to try to turn up Highland over the bridge specifically could be hard for oil deliveries and things of that nature. So there was concern expressed about that. And I think as a result of all the conversation, there was some encouragement. I wouldn't say it was resounding, but most people were in favor of seeing two-way traffic on Church Street. I have since received, there was also a conversation about putting two sidewalks on both sides, like there's a support for on North Street. That didn't seem to get the majority of the response, and most people wanted it to stay on the side of the street that it currently is on. But there was a lot of questions about what is the true width of the layout on Church Street, and is there enough room to do something else to help slow traffic down. There was a lot of concern about it feeling like high traffic and a bit of a raceway through there. And while we have to have regulatory signage, there was a lot of concern about it feeling just like a highway both on North and Church, and a lot of encouragement to make sure that whatever concept we bring forward to the voters feels like a neighborhood. And some of that signage still required is pared down as much as possible so that it's not overwhelming, so that's not all people feel like they're surrounded by. So I don't know if that's street trees, I don't know what we complement that with, but I think we need to see people what it would look like to live on these streets. There was a conversation about adding another speed hump in there, not with a crosswalk. There was a lot of conversation about whether or not it should have a crosswalk, but something to slow traffic as they're coming off that bridge. There was also some requests, not from a lot of residents, but at least one or two, to reconsider which way is one-way traffic. And I think that's related to, it's related to how traffic crosses currently coming off of North Street onto Church Street, but two, I think there's also maybe people with different views on where the more constricted line of sight is on Route 2. Two buildings at the end of North Street really constrict that view and make it so you have to push out a little bit to see. And that can be quite challenging. And so that's why, after all the years of conversation on this topic, we really focus on north being in northbound. Some residents, like anything else, have had a different experience and they would prefer and feel safer to go southbound there. Where they feel Church Street may feel more difficult to see, just sort of as westbound traffic is sort of looping around, sort of coming down into the village. It can be harder to see that quickly if they're coming fast. And similarly, if they're looking to the west, there's some posts from the church that are still by the sidewalk, and that can make it a little challenging to see. I know most of the fences come down, but there's still some old gate posts out there, and it can make it a little harder to see. I think that's reasonable. So I do want to share that feedback came in as well.
Well, Rotary will resolve that part of it.
I did bring that up. And I reminded everybody in attendance that we specifically went with green because they were the vendors working with MassDOT on Route 2. And while we can only control technically what's on our layout, we can influence what's happening on Route 2. And we can work with the parties who are influencing Route 2. And so if we do something with our design that needs to then have some type of complementary piece to it on the Route 2 piece, we can work with MassDOT. And we have the same engineers helping have that conversation as opposed to trying to translate two different designs. Or vice versa. If we found out something about Route 2's design that was going to impact they could let us know about that and we could work together. It doesn't look like the Route 2 project's happening anytime soon. So I think we really need to do our project regardless of Route 2, but that doesn't mean we can't find something discrete on the Route 2 project that we need to advocate strongly for if you felt strongly about it.
I also thought that the people, they were willing to relook at the possibility of a roundabout now versus the 2 or 3 years ago that they looked at it prior. I mean, towards the end of the meeting, it seemed like they were willing to look at it again in light of everything that was going on with the changes on North and Church. And the only other thing that was news to a lot of people was that Flag Hill Road would become one way.
At least to the crest.
Right.
So Flag Hill is wider on the northbound side, and you can maintain two-way traffic, but the southbound side is harder. It's only about 11 feet wide. It's a very narrow with a quick drop-off. So the conversation, if we were to make North Street one way, whatever way you make it a one way, it would impact that lower section of Flag Hill on the southbound side.
The other concern with the double sidewalk on North Street is that it was brought to our attention that the mail carrier does not get out of their vehicle, and there'd be no grass belt to put actually mailboxes. So they would have to come up with some sort of design to either put mailboxes in the sidewalks or maybe like a central box like at Town Hall for those residents.
That was a great observation that one of the residents made.
Because I doubt we have room for a grass buffer where those are, and then the sidewalk.
The North Street layout is particularly tight.
I know.
In this section,
Even one way.
it gets wider as you go north. But yes, that was a great.
I did just have a question on figures 7 through 10. Those are for Erving and not Fall River, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So from here, next steps is us giving feedback to them to what to do from here.
Yes.
Okay.
They.
I'm sorry,
Yep.
could I say something? People in the neighborhood have told me that not everybody got the notices for that meeting. That it was a windy day and some of them found it on lawns or stuck in bushes. And also that Flag Hill hadn't been invited or
High Street either.
to, yeah, so, well, you can come anytime, but
Wasn't available.
I think maybe another meeting with
That's absolutely in the
where
plan.
things are mailed to people, and I am sure as heck not open for a roundabout at the end of Church Street. I'm sorry I had to leave the meeting early. I had another meeting, but yeah, I just think if people could maybe an additional meeting and either have the notices mailed to people.
Absolutely.
Thank
I think
you.
Green
Absolutely.
intended on that. They were going to go back with the feedback.
Yep.
And redraw on their maps some of the painting concepts on it also,
Without the chicanes.
without the chicanes.
Yeah, I mean, I think that people, for the most part, at least the people at the meeting, were pretty much okay with the one-way in North Street
Yeah.
and making Church Street two ways. At least that's what I got out of the meeting at the
Yeah.
end. But they also were disappointed that Flag Hill hadn't been notified, the residents there,
Yeah.
because that does impact them if it's only a one-way.
So we are going to hold another night.
Oh, thank
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. And we'll make sure there's enough advance notice so that folks either can make.
Could we not do it on a Wednesday night?
We can try. I mean, typically we do these on Wednesday nights because they don't conflict with all the other meetings that happen in town. But we absolutely can choose another night. There's no.
We're gonna have
hard rule.
two. We probably should just choose another night because
Yeah.
it makes it more accessible.
Yeah, not a problem. We absolutely can do that.
Do we have a rough timeline on when we think that will happen?
So I was waiting to hear back. I just got back this afternoon, so I don't believe I missed a message last week. But I
Rough.
need to follow up with them. That they need to go back, regroup in house to see what their internal timeline would be to turn around just even an updated concept just based on the feedback they initially received. And I didn't receive that before I left. So I should be able to hear from them this week, and we tentatively could plan for something at least a month out, so we have plenty of time to notify folks. So I was thinking something later in September.
Okay.
I think we've all accepted that we clearly aren't looking for a grant fund this fall. And so I think at this point, we're really looking to make sure that we've got a design that most people can support and get ready for the capital budget planning season. And then take it through that. And as we're preparing and answering questions, look at grant opportunities.
I did have one question about the raised crosswalks. They're like what's at UMass now, right? Where you have to stop,
Conceptually, yeah.
go over the hump, and then accelerate it. So what's that going to be for plowing? Are you going to be able to plow? Because at the meeting you raised
Trying to be your favorite
concerns.
select board member.
Well, I mean, one of the reasons we didn't like the chicanes were because they could be a hazard in the winter with melting and refreezing ice, and you couldn't really clear the snow
You
off
wouldn't
of
get
them.
you wouldn't get a full clear width of the road also.
So I guess my question is, do we have to have that, or can we, is there other alternatives like paint or, flashing lights that will act instead of making them stop, go over the hump? And, I'm thinking about plowing.
The
Okay,
answer is
fair enough.
yes.
Okay.
But I would also say that we've tried a lot of those things and it doesn't seem to be working in this location. So I do think that we're at a conversation point where we need to consider trade-offs.
Okay.
And if a physical change helps address the concern that everybody's experiencing, one of the trade-offs may be it requires a slower approach in the plowing. We can work with them, and Glenn spoke to this in that meeting. Obviously, you can speak for yourself. I'm sorry.
You're doing
But having an appropriate apron so it ramps up correctly, enough of a plateau where that crosswalk would be so that you can get that clean before it dips back down again is the best way to do that. If you just have like a hard lump up, like in what you see in parking lots, that's not going to be something that we can plow around easily. making sure that the stormwater is adjusted appropriately so that we're capturing any place that water may pool so it doesn't turn into ice. So we definitely would need to make sure all of that's in the design. And I think we talked high level costs, and I don't think it makes sense to really spend a lot of time on this because the plan is nowhere near done. But think of this as a full reconstruction. This is not just a repave and a new sidewalk. This is
Right.
a full reconstruction.
Streets for a reason.
It is complete streets.
Right.
Well, that's where I was going with that.
Yeah.
Is there other alternatives so that, I mean, I've been at UMass, it's a pain. You literally have to slow down, go over the hump, speed up, slow
But
down.
that's the point.
Yeah, well, it's like,
Yes, I agree.
Means you can just slalom at the same speed.
But with that said, what we found with the traffic count after the speed bumps were put in, that people were speeding up in between them
Yep.
also.
No,
Absolutely. Yeah.
Says a hurry up to stop,
This is
a hurry
Your
up.
description of
yeah,
it.
well,
Slow down, go over the speed hump,
And
accelerate.
Right. Slow down again.
And that's what the residents were experiencing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which so I just don't know if they've experienced it and they didn't like that with the big bump sounds it was making with the speed bumps, if an 8-foot, if that crosswalk could do the same thing and then the residents wouldn't like it.
They don't-
I just wanted them to look
Yep,
at all the
that's fair.
alternatives, that's all. And then the plowing.
And we're not poking fun, it's more the reality of
Yeah.
the experience and what
Yeah.
happens with
Yeah.
these things, right?
Yeah.
We're trying to do something, but it has other effects.
I did reach out to Alex today if there's any updates for the board tonight, and at this point, she did not have anything.
So we'll follow up again.
So
Thank you for that.
I think the idea of targeting something in late September makes sense. I think if they come back and it's going to be a while, then we should have another session on the plans we have.
Okay.
Around that same time frame. I mean, if it's the first week in October instead, maybe that's fine, but I don't want to be November, December, before we have another session.
Right.
And we should show both in the next session
Of course.
as well.
Yep.
So,
I think the only thing that
Pre
they
and post
mentioned to
feedback.
me is there was an initial scope of work, and doing another round of revisions and another public session may just be beyond what their scope of work would allow for. So I may have to present to the three of you a small contract change just for the additional work.
as long as we can look at it before they do the work,
Of course.
I don't have a problem with it.
Yes.
Anything else? I think that for me at least, that's kind of let's put a pin in it for there, do another session, and then come back after that.
Yep.
As we get into budget season.
Okay.
Okay. I believe last but not least for the joint session is review and potential vote on professional engineering services proposals. Thank you, Glenn. For Erving Center Clarifier Project, tie and bond. Pete, come on, your turn. So for everyone, we took a look at this last session, board did, and wanted to bring everybody in on it. This is the clarifier project that we had put forward for capital under a borrowing authority authorization that was voted on and approved. And the ask here is to look at doing the initial task, which would not be eligible for the SRF funding anyway.
Right.
Which we had talked about that, which we did apply for.
Yes.
So the memo in here is dated, but that's the same data we had prior. So
Correct.
we're all on the same point now.
Correct.
Wanted to get it in front of all of us and have a conversation. If there's any thoughts, concerns, I know capital and finance have both weighed in on wanting to understand these things and whether we should go forward or not and have that discussion. So, and I think we talked a little bit about, we have a borrowing authority. That doesn't mean we need to go exercise the borrowing right away just to do task one.
Agreed.
We can sort out in the next 9 months how we wish to fund that phase.
Correct.
Doesn't automatically mean we're going to go get the borrowing right away.
It's not unlike what you did with the Church Street Bridge. You didn't end up borrowing for it even though you have a borrowing authority.
Yeah. Okay.
So my question is the $65,000 in the 1 million, or is the $65,000 separate?
It would be it's in the million. The way Time Bond puts together the entire project proposal costs, they come up with what they believe to be the anticipated construction costs, the 20% contingency, and their engineering fees broke out into those tasks, and then they give us a grand total.
So what we're asking to do is to use that $65,000 that's within the 1 million and approve that use.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And as the chairman clarified, the board had a question. We clarified with Mass DEP the permitting and the planning phase, preliminary design phase, are not covered by SRF. So even if we are accepted into the program, if we have a good application, that wouldn't have been covered by the SRF funds regardless. Those would be local costs anyway.
And if we were accepted into the program, that's not a task that would have to be redone. They would work
Correct.
off of these documents and everything. Okay.
That's correct.
When do we engage with Erving Paper to discuss this with them and the funding and everything?
The select board can do that at any time.
Has that process been started or?
We've not had change.
Not yet, but it's coming up soon.
Okay.
We
But I
have
think
a lot of
part of-
things to kind of close up for fiscal year, but it's time to start having that conversation with them.
But I do think that the conversation needs to happen, and both parties have had some level of a conversation about this, but just not in the more formal way that we need to at this table. But I think the missing piece is going to be what the final, the project is what it is, and,
Yeah.
and I think it's largely agreed upon. This is the scope that needs to be done. How you fund it is really the crux of the issue, and what that debt schedule looks like and how that gets paid. And so until we know what the formal debt schedule is and what those costs are, there's going to be you can have the conversation, but there's going to be a really critical piece of information that we don't quite have yet.
Okay.
So we can start the conversation, but there'll be a piece that we won't be able to finish.
There's $1 million, and we're looking at some incentivized funding sources that we have, and then discussing who's paying the bill. That's the facts of it, to a point.
Right.
So,
But Schedule A will be missing from your document.
yeah, we won't be ready to finalize that,
Yeah.
but we can have the directional conversations about how this gets executed.
But I don't think you're going to get to a point where this project doesn't happen.
Yeah.
I don't want to oversell or
not an
undersell,
option.
but this is a critical piece of infrastructure we must take care of.
Yeah. They're related, but they're not contingent on each other.
Right.
They both have to happen.
Right.
And I believe, we haven't discussed it in detail, but we've all kind of anecdotally said we need to have that conversation.
Right.
I feel like we're getting to the point where that conversation is
Exactly.
ready, and we start having some bandwidth, hopefully, to do it in the next month or two
Exactly.
before we get into another budget cycle.
It's quickly approaching.
I have no further concerns.
Anyone else?
No?
Good capital's input on proceeding? Good to proceed?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
I make a motion to engage Ty and Bond Incorporated for professional engineering services for Task 1 of the Erving Center Wastewater Treatment Plant POTW2 Secondary Clarifier Project in the amount of $65,000 and $65,600, and to authorize Brian Smith, Town Administrator, to execute all necessary agreements.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And then Pete, obviously, want you involved in kind of overseeing all this so that we stay on top of and abreast of kind of progress updates and such.
I will be there.
And if anything comes up of concern or, out of the ordinary, I think generally we just like some periodic updates.
Sure.
On how it's progressing. I don't know if there's a time, did they put a timeline on this? Did I miss it?
No, but they
capital.
are aware. Obviously, you engage them to help you with the SRF application.
Yeah, right.
So they are aware of what schedule we're kind of working along, and if the SRF is funded, when they would have to have design documents ready and approved by you all. So,
Okay. Yeah,
So-
it's not going to happen in a week, but it's not 6 months either.
no.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, periodic updates. If something comes up, let us know. We'll put it on an agenda if there's anything significant that
Sure.
is unearthed or something way different than what we had originally scoped.
Yeah, there's a lot going on there.
Yeah, you dig
At
into
the site
details.
alone.
Hopefully there won't be any more details, but that's
Right.
how it works. So
And refresh my memory, when did we apply or are applying for SRF and how long did that take to hear back from?
So the application was due the 24th.
24th, I
Yep.
believe.
of July, it's
Yeah.
already
Yes.
in.
Okay.
So we just put that in, and I think conservatively, I'm expecting by December, January-ish, we should.
Oh,
be
so
in.
a couple months. It's gonna take a few months.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
Okay. Okay.
yeah. And I think that was the concern about waiting. If we waited and then found out we didn't get it, we'd still have to proceed.
Yeah.
And then to know it's not even a covered cost to begin with, it would prevent you all from the budget cycle from having the conversation, are we ready to go through traditional financing as opposed to the SRF financing, which would clearly be our preference. But
Okay.
And it put us behind if we did get the SRF funding in theory, we're
Yeah.
as ahead as we like. Okay. Any other joint business? Did I catch it all?
that was it.
Is it?
Okay. Anything else for us before you go?
So we'll meet next on the 31st.
31st, joint meeting. Did you have something, Bill, before I go to joint?
No.
You're already on
Well
the
said.
next item, aren't you? With that, I'll motion to adjourn the joint meeting with capital and finance members at 8:33.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The select board will continue their meeting.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Pete.
Yep.
Thank you, Thomas, for bearing with us through all that. Discussion regarding reorganization of town hall. So the team has been working for a little while. We touched on it, I think, last meeting.
Yes.
Thank you, Thomas, for taking the lead on the meeting last week and helping get to some draft that we can start having some conversation and or give direction to kind of try to get to a solution, because we are continually adding people.
Yes.
But not space.
Right,
So
right.
we need to sort that out quickly. So from there, whoever's going to wants to take it.
So in front of each of you, I've given you a rough diagram of the town hall layouts. So the first floor, we've got the parking lot to one side, to the left, and East Main Street to the right. The sort of layout of the ground floor or the first floor is on the bottom, and then the main floor that most offices use, or the second floor, is the top. So I think the big challenge, I mean, the chairman just summarized one of the pressing reasons that we need to deal with this is because obviously we have departments that have needed space. In fairness, yes, you've hired, but these departments have been without space for years, and they've needed this space for years, and we just have not found an answer to that. So we need to deal with that issue. But I think it's an honest statement to say that there's a lot of space in town hall that we are not using well, and we need to use it in a more efficient manner. And I think we can do that. And so the staff has met several times over the last few months to try to come up with some ideas or suggestions or raise concerns, and there's been a lot of conversation. I don't think we have one agreed upon proposal, which is what I was really hoping to bring to the three of you. This is what the staff really supports. Can we move forward with this? But I do know that we have some feedback that we want to express to you all. Put this diagram in front of you and get some direction, hopefully from the three of you, about what you're thinking, so that we can start to make some incremental changes. And I know there's a lot of concerns about budgetary costs, which are real, and we need to be very conscientious about that. There's also a timing and how quickly can we do some of these things concern. And so I'd like to encourage us all to think of this in what is the end result long-term, big picture, even if that's the big renovation someday that you want to achieve. But what are the immediate things that we can do now? I don't want us, and I know I can't sit in good conscience and go to town meeting and ask the voters for funding for something to undo work that we just did. That doesn't make sense to me. There needs to be a cohesive plan as to what we're trying to accomplish, and I think this building can serve us for many more decades. And I may be alone in that. That's what I believe. But I think we have to be thoughtful about what we need to do today in the short term to take care of our needs, but I also think that there's probably long-term improvements that will need to be made, and those will likely be costly, and I acknowledge all of that. I don't want to make it sound like a small fix now in our existing appropriation is going to take care of all of the issues at Town Hall. I don't think the voters would believe that. But I also don't want to say, well, because it's a big project, we shouldn't do anything today. That's also not a reasonable way to go forward. So I'm hoping that we can find a way to do something incremental now, get us through the immediate with a larger goal that we can bring to capital and to the voters and have a comprehensive conversation.
To add on to that, I think my sense of this is similar to the highway department and,
Yep.
you know, what was a dry storage building, which became more needs-based and is not moving forward yet, but we also still had interim issues that we had to address, which
Right.
we've tried a few times and haven't gotten there, but
Right.
those are, you know, some costs that we would be then re-spending to do something, and
Right.
we have to operate in between.
Right.
So we have to put some money in, even if it's, you know, to then redo what we just did
Right.
at some point, because it's not going to happen in 12 months.
Agreed.
And so there's some lifespan to this, and so we have to invest in that shorter lifespan to get us to the longer one.
Correct.
That's just the reality.
That is true.
So you have questions, because at the end of the day, we get to be the tiebreakers.
Okay.
Or direction deciding.
Right. So I think the two things, because we met for about an hour today to go over the feedback from the staff while I wasn't here last week, and just the other conversations. And so I think the two things I would like to bring to the three of you is see if we can operationally get some thoughts or some direction from you. Is one, ground floor, I think we can all agree, is well underutilized. That's probably being too generous. I really think that there's a lot of missed opportunity on that floor, that we could find a way to reprioritize that space and give it daily function that it's not currently enjoying today. So I'd like to find whatever solution we come up with, that we are maximizing the use of that floor and putting it into productive use for the citizens and for the offices. And I acknowledge, I'll just say it, I think that means that we need to have the honest conversation about relocating our elections and where they need to be held.
You're not getting any argument out of me. It needs to be held in a different building.
We've talked about that a few times, and
Yeah.
I agree.
So
It's not the venue for it. Not accessible. It's not. Parking isn't there. There's a lot of things that just aren't ideal for that. So
agreed. So that, I think, is
we have to set the location.
the three of you set that location, and I need at least, I think it's 20 days to notify the residents if we're going to make a change.
Okay. When's our next election?
November
November?
3rd.
No, October 2nd, October 6th. You have the Franklin County Tech School borrowing
The tech school. There's a special election October 6th.
October 6th.
And November.
Is the state election.
Okay. So if we're going to do anything before either of those dates, we've got to make a decision and announce it.
So you got a decision anyways, and that's right here.
Yeah, I was going to say, can I make a motion? Because this.
Let's
I
put
wanted
it
to
on
be
as
on the
a
agenda.
topic, because it isn't. It's
Yeah.
adjacent to this, and it's
And I
needed.
want to
but
invite the town clerk.
Let's put it on the next meeting.
Yes.
August
On the
31st.
31st, please.
Will that give you enough time for the October 6th
Well,
election?
Barely. Well,
That will be tight.
that would be tight.
It will
but we could do it by
absolutely do it for the
November.
November 3rd.
Well,
Yeah, I think that's the best.
it just delays the. You'll have people starting and no place to put them if you hold the election in the current facility.
That's true today.
It's a fair concern.
Well,
I mean, it's
mean,
true today, and it
both
won't be
ways,
solved by the time we have people that don't have places.
So, but
All right.
we will have to work through that. Absolutely. And
Well,
it's not
I'm
that we
just-
couldn't do it. It will be tight. If you all make that decision, like I said, I believe it's 20 calendar days, but I will double check, make sure.
Well, if it's 20 calendar days,
Plenty of time.
It is.
does the ballot?
Let's.
My question
defer
is to
that
follow up is, does the ballot list where the elections are, or is it just the election day?
The election warrant does.
Okay.
I don't know that the ballot does.
Okay.
The
The election warrant hasn't been issued yet.
2 weeks before. Week.
The only warrant that you've issued so far is September 1st for the primary. So that is happening at Town Hall.
Yeah.
But I will tell the town clerk that we plan to have this conversation on August 31st. Please.
One thing that would free up space almost instantly is if we can move some of the rec stuff to a different location.
Where?
Well, my solution is, I mentioned this at 2 meetings, is that the rec looks into getting a mini split in one of their storage garages. We can get it climate controlled. I mean, I just don't think that's a good use of town hall space when we need office space.
We actually talked about this at our recreation meeting, which was Tuesday. No, last Thursday. No, it's Monday. Last Thursday, and we agree with you. And Brenda mentioned something about perhaps using the storage space at IT currently in COVID stuff that's in that little space there. That used to be like the treasurer's office at one time. And it's possible there's not actually that much stuff that it would all fit in that room.
I had a different idea for that room, but
Oh,
I
well,
agree.
no, I just,
finding appropriate storage that's not taking up usable working
Right.
space is a fair question.
Our concern about the mini splits is the cost, the electricity cost. Our budget's already tight. We're trying to keep it level funded, and expenses go up, and that would be a huge cost.
Yeah, that's fair.
It is an operational cost. That's fair.
How about next door? There's a lot of open space.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if we're short term or long term, that's
Right.
two different things. And what
Right.
what is the need of the space?
Yeah.
Right.
Is it climate? Is it security? What is the space? What is the storage need?
And that actually
Next door.
did come up.
Fire station,
Okay.
like
And
the
that-
large conference room. I mean,
And this
really put some
particular
racks against the wall and take up,
and this particular equipment, to your question,
3x20 along the wall, and it's not.
it's just climate controlled and secured to the point where
That's it.
equipment won't go missing before they plan the next event or the next sports season. Or
It's just access
And those
to
who
the
have
equipment
keys
would
to
be
the fire
handled.
station have keys to town hall. So
Right.
Correct.
Yeah.
it's as secure as it is now.
Right. So they're not
Short
adverse
term,
to
anyway.
moving it, is what I'm getting
Yeah,
at.
no, that's
Yeah,
fine.
no,
I think
not
we would
adverse
have
to
to
moving at all.
probably, I mean, this is another topic,
Yeah.
but look at insulating whatever garage but I just think we have the garages for the rec. I think that we should use them for the rec if we can find a way to.
Correct. Two other points that I just want to encourage us to consider for town hall. And I know for many purposes we moved here in the library for a lot of your board and commission meetings. Works for the televising of these meetings, but it also works for the public. But not all boards and commissions moved over here. And so town hall should remain a meeting space, and I don't want to lose that option. So the Board of Assessors, the Rec Commission, the FinCom, the Capital Planning Committee, the Board of Health, the Museum Committee, they all meet at town hall. And so we need to maintain a meeting room that not only works for them, but also works for the public. And so I want to make sure that whether it's the first floor or the second floor, we preserve that.
And whatever meeting room you have has to be something where the door can be closed for executive session.
Agreed. Absolutely. So it is a space, right now they're all in open spaces, and that makes it challenging for those boards to conduct their business if they ever do need to go into executive. So I agree with you on that.
Do we have is there a general sense on what capacity we're looking for in that room?
I would encourage you to plan for at least 20 persons. So you're talking about something probably the size of those larger offices that we have on the second floor, whether you're talking like the assessor's office size or the town clerk size.
20?
You need a large table. Your biggest board is 5 members,
Yeah.
plus support staff, plus the public.
Do you happen to know what the occupancy is of the large room next door at the library currently? The
That
rated
is
occupancy?
It's a lot
35.
more than you think.
It probably is. That's why I was
'Cause
asking.
it's by standing, I
By
believe.
standing
Standing
shoulder to
up,
shoulder.
yeah, okay.
65.
But if you put like tables and chairs,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
chairs,
And I
it's
was
like
just
30.
trying to visually get a sense of
The problem is that you run into there not being enough meeting space at the library.
I was not suggesting we move there. I just was looking for a visual representation on
yeah,
occupancy
yeah.
capacity
Yeah.
versus square
Oh,
footage,
okay.
not
Right.
I think that
legal
that
requirement.
space probably comfortably fits, I want to say 40. I think I've been there enough that you're
It's all
comfortable at
chairs.
40 with chairs and a performance space, but it's tighter with other things.
And we do all our staff meetings at town hall,
Right.
which only happen
Yeah.
quarterly, but it'd be used for things like that.
Yeah.
It'd be multi-use. It's not just for this.
It'd be
Yeah, of
available
course.
to all the boards and commissions and the public, correct?
Okay.
And so I think either one of the larger rooms on the second floor could potentially serve, or breaking up what has been the admin office that used to be the meeting room at town hall, breaking that up in some way to maximize that space. Or similarly, the floor down below, which was the former library, could be broken up in a way and a wall could be placed to create a meeting space of adequate size that could be with a door that could shut if it was necessary. Maybe keep it close to access by the stairs, close towards the elevator so that it would have access to the public. And then the only other thing I'd encourage us all to consider as we're doing this is that while people may feel strongly about space or departments having unique spaces, I would encourage us to think functions. And so if there's departments that complement each other and we can create functional sort of suites in a way and approach it from that standpoint, I think there's a lot of shared capacity that we could be benefiting from, as opposed to isolating into individual spaces, whether that's sharing copiers and equipment, whether that's sharing staff, whether that's sharing a service counter. I think that there's opportunities that we have in practice been trying to do, but the physical space doesn't actually mimic what we're trying to do. For instance, we've been sharing a financial services clerk between the assessors and the tax collector office, and we've been doing that for the last 2 years. But physically, the two spaces aren't joined, and so there's a lot of running back and forth between offices, and they can't do everything in one space, and so just one functional setup would have allowed for that maybe to flow a little easier. So as we're approaching this, I would encourage us to think functionally rather than everybody's always had their own space, and therefore it must be that way. And I would just encourage those service areas to have appropriate ADA compliant counters and service areas to work with the citizens.
Is there enough space in the existing old select board, where you have the town accountant and the town planner? Is there enough space in that room to put the financial team?
That was one option that has been discussed. I know that there's some concerns that have been expressed about that space, and there was an encouragement to use what is currently the assessing office and the tax collector's office for that purpose, so that the financial team could work together. I wasn't part of the conversation, so I don't want to misrepresent it, but there was an encouragement to be over there.
That's
To move them where they are across the way.
yeah.
Yeah, they in other town halls, that is often the case, that the assessors are in the same office or in the same suite as the tax collector's office.
Usually, if you have a question about your assessments,
You're going
to one of those offices.
I just didn't know if you could also, well, let's see, that's 3 people. Could you also fit the treasurer in there as well, which would be another 2 people?
I think it's common for treasurers and collectors to work together. Sometimes they are the same position. And I think, to your point, often the assessor's office is somewhere located nearby. That's not uncommon. It's not a
Thinking it would
requirement,
free
but
up,
yes.
if you did that, you would actually free up 3 offices
Well,
at the expense of, 2.5.
I don't have any.
Yep.
I think it's
Yeah.
fine to go there, but I think I would first like to just hear what
Thomas has to
broader questions did we answer. Like, have we heard them all and we given you direction? If we want to get into the nuance of determining exact areas, we can. But I don't know if that's what the ask was.
I think those were some of the big
Yeah, I mean,
takeaways.
I think there's a little confusion about if we were doing like temporary walls versus building walls.
Okay.
And most people that attended the meeting had the vision that we were just going to buy like cubicles and we were going to try it out and see if it worked. And then we were going to talk about the bigger picture.
Okay.
And I'm not even sure myself what direction we would go, because obviously building walls, that's not going to happen anytime soon.
Let's say the HVAC implications. of
HVAC,
building walls,
electrical. Right now you walk into the first floor, it's like one light switch, every light's on.
Right.
Outlets.
Right. So I think cubicles end up being probably the only feasible thing to really partition any large
I
spaces
did-
very successfully, but
The group at the meeting, we
yeah.
drew up some ideas, and for the cubicles that they came up with, it was going to be like $7,000. I measured it all out.
So, where were they, what?
So there,
department?
most of them were on the first floor,
The
on
ground
both
floor?
sides. So if you take, yes, the ground floor.
Okay.
If you take right now, like where the rec is,
Yep.
should be. There's going to be 12 by 8, we'll say, two cubicle spaces there, and
create a
then
hallway from the door to the hallway, basically.
The open door into there, and that would create the
2 spaces,
2 spaces, okay.
and then on the other end, it wasn't talked about in the meeting, but I went back and forth while measuring. The other end is narrower, so it's harder to fit 2 spaces in there. That would be a good size. So I had done like on your drawing, like where the elevator line is, the
Yeah.
dark line, a wall there that goes most of the way across with the ADA opening. And then I didn't draw it, but we had talked about maybe in one of like those cubbies making another like L. You could technically do 2 out of there, and those could be 2 little smaller offices for maybe a committee that just comes in for a couple hours or needs somewhere to sit down and send an email.
So to take the little cubby areas and jut them out a little bit because they're
Yeah,
2
because
feet,
right now they go like kind of like this, and you could take like you could do like an L out of there, and they'd probably be like 8 by 8s or enough to put a desk in there and a chair.
And then, okay, yep.
So you've got a couple needs. I think what you're describing is like just like a multi-use sort of flexible space.
Right.
You know, you have a board of commission, to your point, that just needs to come in and do some official correspondence, but they don't need a workspace every day. They just need to be able to quickly boot something up or stuff envelopes or put together survey packets or something quick. Or you have the example of, you know, you have an intern that's coming in to work on a project for a month, and they need a place to work from, but that's not going to necessarily lead to needing a whole office set up, right? So I think just some flexible workspace.
When the auditors come in.
Or when the auditors come in and they need
so
a place
that
to work.
type of thing, right? Yeah.
Right,
Okay.
right.
And then what would that do to the space if you did that? You're entering in the hallway, then you would enter into those 2 spaces.
You could still enter on either side the way that I was envisioning it and measured it.
All right.
And you'd still have like, you could walk up against, with plenty of width, up against like where the kitchen is to still access where the mail currently is.
Is that little funky area, could we get rid of that wall, that little area without too much issue? You know,
Where the mailroom is?
No, it's
talking about the
downstairs.
counter?
The counter, you know.
It's where, yes.
Oh, okay.
As you come through, turn left before you can.
If you got rid of the post and that, it would open up. I was just thinking it would open up the space a little bit. I don't think it's supporting anything, and it would allow a little more flexibility with the space.
Yeah, I'd have to look at it. I mean,
We've
a
even
lot
had
of
some
those
people
have
ask-
like outlets on the bottom. I don't know if that does, but it just
Okay.
might be electrical that's the problem.
Some people asked because that was sort of like the circulation desk for the library.
It was, right.
So there was a request from some to consider just closing it in and allowing it to be an office. So adding where maybe the book swap was, adding the wall that's missing there, putting in the big opening, putting in a formal door, and then there's
And then
something,
putting a door on the back side of the kitchen,
So,
which
Outdoors rack.
there's electrical there too, so that would just
right, but
relocating
we
it.
all, well, we have to make sure we have a place for our staff to go and,
of course,
you know, so
we
I'm,
keep both spaces.
right, but is there enough room? If you enclose that wall for an office that is more than skinny behind a table, and it's pretty tight in there.
I bet you
There's
it's
a lot of
I
stuff
bet you it's probably
There is a lot of
12 by
stuff,
12.
though. This is 12 by 12.
I think I visualized it the other night when we were in there.
Yeah.
I want to say it was 10 by 12 or 12 by 12.
Yeah,
It's pretty
okay.
big actually, because I was counting the tiles because we were talking about
Yeah.
size.
Yeah.
So it's not
Yeah.
a massive office, but whether it's like a flexible working space like we just talked about, or
Right.
an office that doesn't need a lot of space. Yeah.
What was do you have the rough size of the one that was over by the elevator? Cube space?
I don't have that one
Okay.
because that one I like drew up twice and measured twice, and I'm like, it's a little small to put 2 offices in there.
Right, but could you put,
You were just going to stub out like perpendicular to the entrance?
Yeah, with partition wall.
no, because what do you do with the meeting room that has to have doors? That's the only, I was thinking, you could put the meeting space in there. But,
Yeah, I think. I mean, there's no right or wrong, obviously, but I think the focus should be on the first floor because there's a lot of room that's not used there.
Right.
well, if you.
But then we need to shuffle things on
Right.
the
Right.
second floor or the upper
Right.
floor to
Maybe-
make that, to realize that saving or that gain, right?
Right.
Because I don't think just putting people down there is going to fix it.
Right.
No, because we need, the way I count it, we need IT director space, Board of Health director, you need the town administrator, the assistant, you have the assessors, the tax collector, 2 treasurers, the administrative assistant, the planning board, the rec, and then the town clerk. Those are all the spots.
Planning board.
Glenn, community planner.
Oh, okay, sorry. Yep.
Yeah. Sorry.
So,
yeah,
yep, no, it,
just-
yep, that makes sense. Makes total sense now.
So, oh, and I forgot about the accountant. So, and that's
And the assistant.
and the assistant. So there's two there. So,
There's a lot of people.
it's a lot of people, and
Yeah, I mean, right now, most of those positions are accounted for.
well,
Are or are not?
Are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was it say? We have health
It's
downstairs,
to-
rec downstairs.
It's the
and-
IT position
new.
is really the only spot we don't have a direct place to be right now.
Well,
And the new assistant town admin
yeah.
that we were talking about earlier tonight doesn't
Right.
have an office or a space today.
So I assume that that office would be the same office that Brian is in currently.
Not enough space.
It's tight.
It's tight.
Mhm.
But if you move the financial team, i.e. the tax collector and the assessor over to the other main space, that would free up the assessor's office, which is quite large. I believe
Thought it
the
was the other way
assessor's
around.
office and the
So there was one concept is what
Yeah.
like what Jackie
Space
described, what
Yeah.
the staff communicated last week at that meeting. The
Was the
preference would be the opposite,
To
to
go
use the assessing office.
to tax.
oh, for both of them.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what.
And,
And then where the
And tax,
treasurers
right?
are now,
Oh, that would be that's fine. That's
where
great.
the current treasurer's office now is proposed that be a meeting room.
If you
Because
wanted
it's
it on
at the
floor.
end, you can close the door.
Yeah.
There's going to be minimal distraction.
Okay.
How big is that? Do we know roughly or no?
I can get a measurement.
It's,
Yeah, I didn't know if you knew. That's fine.
It's 13 by 15, I think, or no, something like that. Actually, I measured it with Diane the other day.
The treasurers.
Trying
Gotta
to,
be bigger than that.
no,
Because
the
downstairs
biggest.
mail cubby's like 12 by 12.
Well, she has the dimensions. She
Yeah,
has.
that's
she
fine.
wrote-
We can get it. I just didn't know if you had it right now. That's
No,
all I just
don't
meant.
have it.
No, I meant if
Yeah.
Thomas had. I didn't know he knew. I know he took some measurements.
Yeah.
I didn't know he had some.
Well, if the financial team moves into the assessor's office, that frees up the tax collector's current office.
No, I think they wanted to keep both.
No, it was both, right?
Well, then that doesn't achieve anything.
Well, that's part of our challenges.
Yeah, it's part of the
People are
challenge. I
moving
mean,
around, but the space doesn't get created.
yeah,
We can't. Everybody can't stay on one floor. Like at some point, we do have to. That's why I was saying we really do need to move into the ground floor, like you've all discussed, and I appreciate you having that conversation because
Yeah.
we're just not through some of those solutions, not finding
It-
the space
keep-
that you're looking for.
I mean, keeping it together the way that it is doesn't. Yeah, I mean, you're.
well, no, it does achieve opening up the treasurer's office.
Oh, so you would say the treasurer, the assessors, and the tax collector.
So the way that the people who attended the meeting,
Yeah.
how we drew it out was that the assessors would then go over into where Betsy is now.
So can you walk me around starting from the current
Yeah,
assessor's
'cause
office,
now
what
I'm-
they were proposing, if you don't mind?
Yeah, so they're proposing that the current assessors go over to where Betsy is now.
Okay.
Okay.
And that for now, partition wall goes in there and maybe eventually a permanent wall.
Okay.
For the area that she sits right now.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And then if we stay in that large room,
Right.
Betsy would be like in the middle of that with a partition wall for now, with the thought that we put a service window in
Yeah.
to keep the public behind the window.
Yeah.
And then that the town clerk would also be in that big room.
Okay. All right. And then
Which
who else?
which would have then moved the town administrator to the town clerk's current office
That's the old Board of Selectmen's office.
with his team or however we.
Okay,
I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
know the right layout for any of inside the room.
Just roughly, yeah.
And
yeah.
then the accounting was going to go into the town administrator's current office.
With
And
their
then
old
by
office.
doing that, you only free up one room, which is the treasurer's, because the treasurers would move to the assessors. And the proposal was that,
Okay. So treasurer, that's a huge room. That's one of the bigger rooms.
and that was going to, the proposal is to have that the meeting room, because it is a big room.
No, the
treasurers.
The treasurers.
the
But she's
assessors.
referring to the assessors.
No,
She's
the
circled up
assessors
way
is the
back.
largest room up there. that has a door. It is. It's
The treasurer's office is bigger.
no, it's not.
There's a
Definitely wider.
It's wider, but it's not bigger because the office that Brian is currently occupying juts in on it a little bit. Yeah.
Actually, the
The
treasurer.
other way
Yeah,
around.
the other way around,
His
yeah,
office,
juts in,
that's
yeah.
why it's bigger.
Yeah.
Anyway, we can measure them, but
Yep.
the
Right,
bigger
okay.
one to be a meeting room.
Well,
and I don't- I mean,
Treasurer moved to assessor.
this
Tax
isn't my
day.
decision, but
No, I know.
I don't think it makes sense to have a meeting room right where all the public facing offices
I
are.
mean,
you need a meeting room for when the assessors meet in public,
Yes, absolutely.
and you need a meeting room when the Board of Health wants to meet in public.
Rec commission.
Those are things where, I mean, the public, it's an open meeting, they would come, I mean, I'm just saying that,
But when you need to close the door and it's not public anymore, being right in front doesn't keep it private.
no, but if they move to where the treasurer currently is, that has a door. Right.
That's
That-
what
Yeah,
that's what
I'm
he's saying.
proposing.
Yes,
Yeah.
okay, we're talking the same thing. We're
I
good.
think
We're
we
good.
are.
We are. No,
was
that's
just-
fine. That's what I'm saying. I have it on my little diagram what you said. So
I
I'm
was
like,
just going to say that you don't necessarily, for meeting purposes, have to still be within the town hall. I mean, can you go somewhere else?
it would be
free up that
logistically,
space?
it would be difficult given the nature of what assessors do to be offsite.
I do think that for some of our boards and commissions that run offices at town hall, having them come all the way over here to run meetings, I know Rec's done that in the past, has been a little problematic to be away from their office while they're doing it. It makes total sense for us and what you're doing because we're doing a whole recording and an operation here, but we have a whole team that's supporting that. Not every small office is doing that, and they wouldn't have that. And I think it's hard to ask them to do that. And I anecdotally have received feedback from the residents that they appreciate why we have meetings over here, but for some of the things, it's hard for them to understand why we're not doing that at town hall. So I would just encourage us not to completely shut the door to having support for meetings at town hall.
If you,
It's a really large meeting room right next door.
But even
Well,
the
that's
fire
what I was
station, even the fire station that's not like you're going away.
Right, it's got a huge
across
meeting
town.
room. I was
but
gonna say.
it's not,
That's a great question too. Fire one could potentially be an option.
it could be, but, well, I know for the assessors it wouldn't be conducive because if there's a valuation question that comes up,
Yeah.
you have to have the information handy. And I don't,
Digital? I'm asking. I'm asking. It's digital, isn't it, nowadays?
well, it is, but say that, if you want to print something, I mean, and then they have to physically go over to the fire station and meet
geez.
when they have an office.
Do you know where we have to go to meet?
Yes, I'm sitting here, right here, okay?
I'm
Right
teasing
here.
you, but
I know.
But our office is across
But
town.
I think I feel like we've lost a couple people in this configuration on the top floor. I don't. So I accounted for the accountant and the town clerk and the admin assistant over there, and then the assessors and that and the treasurer. But I don't see where you've put rec or
The rec would stay downstairs
where downstairs.
in one of the areas.
Okay,
I
and
don't-
then where would we put IT and the?
the IT would be downstairs and the town planner.
And then where does the
And
community planner go? Because I don't see.
That's
That's what he
he's
meant by
talking
town planner.
Oh, town planner. Okay,
Yeah,
so
same.
community planner, IT, and then
Health
we
agent?
have
Is
health.
that?
Health agent?
Yeah,
Health
health
agent.
agent currently is
Yep.
right on the elevator side.
So where would rec go? In
One of the two.
One
8 by
of the
12.
two. I don't know.
well, no, because that would be if you have the community planner and IT.
Well, he didn't say they were in those. That's what
Well,
I'm asking.
okay,
Is
I'm
one of the
asking.
window ones is one of those.
it could be.
Yes.
I mean, I think that's to the point,
Yeah.
and while we want
Yeah,
to
I don't
iron this
know
out
where
100%,
everyone should go.
No, I know.
So-
We're not putting it on you to
No,
decide.
no,
It's just
no,
in the
just
proposal. What?
trying to-
Where were they? They
On
were
the
spread
propo-
amongst downstairs.
I can tell you on the proposal, there's enough space that would be created
for everybody.
for everybody.
It would be helpful when we talk about this again if we could have dimensions and diagrams on where
do that.
people.
Yeah, that's fine. We just weren't sure what direction
Yeah,
we were
I
going to
mean,
be
because it
going.
would be easier for me to visualize. One of the things I want to do, if we're going to create space, I want to make sure that we're not creating a cubbyhole office, that we have enough space for the person going into that office to feel that they're not in a box. I mean, I know it's open
I
concept with
agree
the
with that.
petitions, but I want to make sure they're not feeling crunched.
So
But on the-
what would you say is enough space, just so I?
Yeah, I think we need to define that if we're
Well,
saying there's
yeah.
a minimum.
Well,
And
I
what
don't
is
know.
it?
I'm not sure what enough space is.
See,
I mean,
that makes it hard.
well, I mean, I don't know how much space the community planner needs. I mean, has Glenn mentioned how much space he would feel comfortable in?
Hang on. I think we're mixing two different things.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not what people want. You said there's a minimum that you want to make sure we're not putting someone in a closet.
Right.
Or a box.
So to me,
I'm
an
saying,
8
what is
by
that?
12. I mean, in an office, you have to fit a desk, you have to fit the computer, you have to fit the phone, you have to have workspace. I'm just, and I don't know what a workspace is for each department. Is what I'm saying. I mean, what does the Board of Health? What does the health director need for workspace?
I guess I look at it differently. There's a standard workspace.
Okay.
And it doesn't necessarily matter the role. There's a standard size workspace.
What is the standard size workspace?
It's usually an L desk that's a short side, long side. So I think it's like 6x4,
Okay.
and that's it.
And
And a chair and a filing cabinet that's sometimes just in the desk, and that's it.
And usually enough room to have like 1 or 2 chairs for the people.
Yeah,
in
1
the
or 2
public
chairs
people
to sit
who
on the
so
other side.
what are those? So what I'm
Yeah, we can give
asking
that
is
to you.
what is that dimension when you're figuring that out?
And I think to what this part of the conversation that you're having, in my experience, I've been in old buildings and I've been in renovated new buildings, and the newer buildings typically move to a space where the spaces may have unique challenges or shapes or sizes based on just where they are in the building, but largely the setup is practically the same. It's the same desk, it's the same everything. So if I think in my last place I moved 3 offices, but the furniture was the same in every one of them. I didn't take the furniture with me when I moved. They just said, next year you're working in that office. I backed up my stuff and it fit in all the same places because it's the same furniture. And I think there's a way to standardize some of this so that even if a functional group is put somewhere today, but 5 years from now you will decide that functional group needs to shift somewhere else, the other suite is similarly sized so that it will accommodate the same function.
I guess that's where I was going in that, and maybe part of this is that we look at standardizing our furniture, because right now we got a little bit of
Absolutely.
everything in there, right? And maybe that's
Whatever
part of
was
the
left
challenge.
over from the last time
Right.
somebody else cleaned the office out is what we have.
Well, especially if you're going to do the downstairs with partitions, it's going to be standardized partitions. Usually there's desk options that are built with them, or we get them to go in them because
Right.
we don't have, and a hodgepodge of various desks of generations
Right.
is not going to work well.
So I think we should hire an architect to come in
Oh, God.
and tell us how we can break this up and make it standardized based on the amount of people we have and how to spread them throughout this process. I like this, and I think it heads in the right direction, but I think in the end, if you want to use this right and may want to go into the future, and we don't know how far into it, I think we need to do it the right way in the beginning to start. And I don't see anyone being able to do it here except for an architect, someone who designs.
Yeah. So you would need to do designer selection
Yeah.
because the fee and the cost of the eventual project is going to be large enough where it would trigger that.
Yeah.
But that is putting this project out years.
Yeah, I hear you, but I think that's the long-term plan.
Okay.
Personally, if we need outside assistance, I think someone who does interior design, office type layouts with partitions and such could be an option. That's a cost, but it could be an option to look at all the different spaces. I think some of the things that are more complicated may or may not be in scope at this stage would be whether or not certain walls are easy to open up for doorways or walkthroughs or whatever that might be upstairs. But I think to do something
Concerned that
effectively quickly, I think we got to
might not be taking in consideration fire issues, ADA issues. There's a host of things that when we start breaking this up and throwing up partitions and not having outlets in each area that the people are going to need because they're spread out someplace else, I don't know how you're going to do that in a realistic way without creating more problems.
I will agree with you. There's no perfect solution. I think everything comes with a bit of a trade-off and
Right,
some,
I would agree.
adjustment. But
Even the vault, I mean, is the vault something that's, as long as I've been in the town hall, I think that door doesn't even close or lock.
It does.
there's like only one
The
person.
problem is you can't unlock it afterwards.
Right. So,
Go there.
Your
I mean,
eventual.
are we going to use that space as a vault? Is it going to continue to be a vault?
I think you should always have a vault.
Right.
If that's the right vault and if that's in the right location in the building, I think is a fair question, because I would argue it probably isn't. But I think you do need something to what you're describing. I think there's challenges with the vault, and so at times people have struggled to get it unlocked once it's locked, and so I think there's a hesitancy to secure it. But I think a bigger concern that the town clerk has expressed to everybody is that because it's up against the buried portion of town hall, there's groundwater that seeps in, and it creates a moisture issue. And so the idea that you're keeping permanent documents down there is a concern that he's expressed. And so we're constantly running dehumidifiers to try to keep that as dry as possible. So I think that's another thing that we've discussed, that we would like to invest in a commercial grade dehumidifier for the first floor. It's not an unreasonable request. I think that would solve a lot of problems. We're running dehumidifiers all the time, but because of the nature of them, they're constantly having to be manually emptied, and we do that every day, and that's not a problem. But for a more permanent solution and not having floor space taken up by these devices that are running in every room, we could fix that.
So I guess I would like to know, what is the typical office space, like
Yep.
Jake is
We can do that.
describing, and could we put
Yeah,
some
I mean,
dimensions on these things?
8 by 12, 8 by 10.
Whatever,
8 by
yeah,
12,
yeah,
10 by
yeah,
12. Those are
yeah,
pretty.
I'm just-
8 by 8, you can do it, but it's going to feel like a box more so than not. But that's pretty standard.
Okay. So we'll get that information for you all.
I think you can fit one more person in that Betsy town clerk section.
Definitely, there's a lot of space in this building, and it's not maximized.
Yeah, and I would say I think we can too, but are we going to spend 20 grand on partitions, or are we going to spend 5? Like I think we got to weigh that out, because I do think that we can make space with partitions that's safe, ADA compliant, but it's nothing that's going to be permanent.
Right. Oh, yeah. No. And I kind of like the idea of using partitions, because in theory it's supposed to work, and in reality it doesn't. You then can move the space around.
To a point, yeah.
You know, I mean, well, to a point, but I mean, at least it gives you some flexibility than a wall. I mean, maybe the rec goes up in the admin assistant and town clerk position, because that is usually off hours and not sharing the same time that the other two people in that are using. So just a
Do you
thought.
have an issue with sensitive files and access?
Is there issues with town clerk sensitive files?
Vital records.
You said,
Okay.
did you say town clerk?
Well,
I thought
that
you
was
said town
thinking,
administrator.
no, town clerk. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm
Town
sorry.
clerk
I
and
misheard you.
admin assistant.
I
It was-
misheard you.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Oh, in the large area.
I would just free up a little space downstairs.
Yeah, because storage doesn't have to be in the same room. We talked
Right,
about that
right.
too.
Correct.
Yeah, and I do agree with Bill that if we're talking about putting up permanent
Yeah.
walls that are built, we do need to hire someone to design it. I mean, we're talking HVAC problems, electrical problems, code problems.
We're going to trigger full renovation
Yeah.
Yeah.
really quickly. Really quickly. So
Yeah.
I didn't have the impression, I don't think the team did, correct me if I'm wrong, that permanent walls were really part of this phase. I think it was mostly likely partition walls, some separation, some reorganization, but not full walls and new HVAC. And
I would say within reason. If there's a proposal that comes to all, like I mentioned before, functional suites. So if we did that, I would propose to you that we move where is, say, the tax collector,
Yeah.
where that door currently exists, and make that an ADA compliant service counter. So then access to that office would come through what is currently the assessor's door. So we would need to open that up. So I do think there would be potentially some recommendations for some small modifications, not to make light of that, but I don't think it's going to be triggering the big renovations that we're talking about, or the big code compliance issues.
Could I just add one more thing?
Yeah.
If we go with partitions, you're not going to have, between partitions, you're not going to have any privacy. You might
That
be
is
in
a
a
concern.
partition, but everybody's going to hear what the next person is doing or saying. So can we put some noise cancellation type devices in those areas to cut down on,
That concern has been expressed.
okay.
So I do think that, again, going back to the functional groupings, if there are people who are co-working on similar topics, the furniture choice for those spaces make more sense to be something that maybe is a little more flexible and changeable. But if you have unlike services, they probably don't belong in the same space together, talking over each other, or potentially having access to information that they shouldn't have access to.
Or I don't know, or creating shared spaces when people don't have the same work schedule.
Right. That's another point. But then potentially, if we do our scheduling or the way we lay things out based on today's schedule, we may potentially limit a board. You know, I'll use rec as the example. Rec has mostly evening and weekend hours right now. If rec changed that in the future,
Right, then it would be limited.
rec,
Yeah.
right.
But if it's a partition, then yeah.
So. Okay, so we have some
I
things.
was
to
just
bring
going to
back.
add that when I said that about walls, I'm talking about erecting new ones that affect HVAC issues and things like that. Opening up a walk-through, closing up a door where there's already offices, already HVAC. That I wasn't meaning out of scope.
Okay.
I more meant you're not putting a wall down the middle of a room that has a return over here and air over there.
Right.
Without a much more involved. So I don't think people were expecting 3 walls to go up upstairs, for example, in the main room. In reality,
exactly.
like would like, but in reality,
Oh, I was
in
thinking
short-term
partitions
reality.
upstairs. That
Yeah,
was
yeah,
where
yeah.
I was thinking, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, you do lose that that privacy that you have when you have your own office.
But right now it's wide open, so it's still an improvement
Yeah.
from where it is today. That's the only thing I would say to that. So,
Okay.
so we didn't give you a lot of answers, but does it give
No, I
you
think
some
that-
directions?
yeah.
Like some-
So we can come back to you with a.
I mean, if it's helpful to say like everybody needs to decide and weigh in and agree on
That would be helpful.
one of 2 plans. I don't care what the 2 are.
Mm-hmm.
When then we'll make a decision. I think that's. I'd rather one, but if you need to bring us 2, and we'll make the decision.
Can we keep this on the August 31st agenda?
Of course.
Okay. That's what we'll do then.
But I think we can be a tiebreaker, make a decision on layout. Like, we'll do that.
And just
We
to
own
be
the building,
clear,
I guess, right?
the board is for partitions on the second floor as well.
If it makes sense.
Yeah, I think you're going to have to.
Yeah.
You're talking about in the large area? Well, that's
Yeah.
what you had in the one proposal you shared. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Is that your 7,000 estimate? Was all of what you
No, that's
described? or-
more.
Yeah. Okay. I
But-
figured it was.
Yeah,
but-
I don't see how you're not going to, because I know from my previous position as principal assessor, there's going to be times when you're going to want privacy to talk to a taxpayer. You're going to want that petition, or if you're trying to figure something out. I can imagine over at, the admin assistant position that there's going to be times where, you're going to want a little space and that sort of thing. And, if the town clerk has different hours that or somebody wants to talk to them about some stuff.
Yeah, most of it's public, even though people might want privacy, though. So you have to
So,
be,
yeah,
acknowledge that
most of it
most
is
information
public,
is
but there
public.
are
It's sensitive,
sections
but it's
that are
not. Yeah,
that are
and then there's a
private.
meeting room that you can go in
yeah
and close
that
the
you
door
could go
and
to. Yep.
have some privacy.
And yeah, we could encourage the other committees to meet in the library, but I will tell you, I have run up against challenges in finding space at the library that's not already.
busy.
It's pretty
Yeah,
busy.
I wasn't, like I said before, I wasn't trying to suggest to move everything over here. I didn't mean that at all. So
No, just
I don't
And we've
think
even
that's
had to-
reality.
Points where sometimes while you're having meetings in this room, we've got other boards meeting
Yes.
down the hallway.
And over there, and
over-
yes, yeah.
So we are
We're busy.
maximizing these buildings.
Yeah.
we're busy.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, do you both agree if it's helpful to say like we want at most 2 plans brought back
Yes.
with
Oh, yeah.
everybody
Yes.
Yeah.
voting on one or another? If
Yeah.
that's helpful to them to have a voice in it and where they'd like to be, but
And
we have to make a decision.
I want them to be aware that there will be. You're still going to hear the other person with a petition. You know what I'm saying? What Bill had said about
yeah.
the noise factor and for some of those people moving, they don't have that issue because they have an office all by themselves. So it just to know that might be it, when they're figuring out their plan. And I'd like dimensions, dimension person.
But there are ways to muffle that, so. I mean,
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely.
Excellent.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I know this isn't easy, so I know we're pointing to you guys for all the answers and to the questions we have, but it's because you're sitting here, not because we expect you to have them all.
No.
So
Okay,
No,
that's
but
fine.
thank you
I'll-
for
I'll
the-
work on this
for all the work
I'll
that you
have
have
another
done.
Let's have another meeting.
meeting. Thank you.
Okay.
I
Thank
do
you
have
both.
one question. IT equipment. Is the IT director going to need a space for IT equipment?
Yes. And I need to factor that in as well.
Okay. So
Different from the space it has today.
Yes.
Not additional, just different.
Different.
Okay.
Building,
go in the
we didn't
lockers
discuss
next
it
to the
today,
rec
but
stuff
building
on the other
maintenance keeps as much as they can on this side of town and trucks it back and forth to the
'Cause
different buildings
there's
as
no
they need to, because there's no room. And it's gotten to the point where the men's room at town hall is storage for building maintenance and a few other things, and I would like to fix all of that. And so building maintenance needs not a ton of space, but building maintenance does need some space. They're maximizing space in the mechanical room. We really should have a space for them to keep the items on hand that we need to be able to repair and maintain things.
So maybe rec could use one half for the climate control things they need, put everything else in their storage over in the garage, and then maintenance could use the other, use the
We might
majority
be
of
able
it.
to do it that way. But yes, IT does need dedicated space for all the equipment.
But I was just thinking when we were doing all this, maybe they need a bigger office, right? Because they need more space. That's all.
It's a fair point. It's a fair point.
I think the one piece of that is, my opinion, is just in a general sense is some of the equipment should probably be securable, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the office has to be, as long as there's a workspace to work in there and bring things in and out. Probably, it's just my experience. But
Okay.
yeah,
Thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you.
thank you. I could spend days on that and still end up where we are. I know we could because it's not
some
easy.
progress.
It's not simple. Discussion and vote regarding extension of the interim treasurer appointment.
Well, we have a meeting tomorrow
Yep.
evening, and we have one candidate.
Okay. Our current appointment ends September 30? No, I mean August 30.
August 31st for the interim position.
So yeah, so I think we need to extend it just because we're not there yet. I mean,
Sure.
Yeah, the committee won't be.
Yeah.
no matter what, even if we have, I'm not even sure that that's the right date. Just given that we,
It's
by
potentially
the
not the
time
right
we
date.
even have somebody for the board to decide to appoint, and
think
then
I
the
worded
time
it
to bring
as-
them on, it
Right.
might still be
It's got, you're gonna.
beyond September 30th.
Right, yeah.
So,
So I don't know if we should go sooner or just keep extending it.
I
mean,
would just say
go
to
further.
October 30. I mean, you have a potential candidate, then there's the interview process, then there's the vetting process. I'm thinking a month, 5 weeks.
Potentially.
There's
30
bonding
days.
and there's all kinds of
Right,
things.
and so 8 weeks is not actually inconceivable.
Let me ask this question. We extended to October 30th, 31st, whatever, and we hire a treasurer sooner. We have a treasurer and an interim treasurer. It's not an issue, is it? They're just overlapping for a little while.
Correct.
They're going to overlap forever.
You had
The
a
people
similar conversation at
indefinitely.
one point when we, yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like non-issue.
correct.
So I lean to October and just
That's fine.
set it, and
Yeah.
then hopefully we don't need to do it again.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah.
I make a motion to extend the appointment of Jean Fountain as the interim treasurer through October 31st, 2026.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all.
Discussion regarding town branding.
So I'd like us to bring back the town branding discussion. Rec is trying to find a logo and things like that. It would be easier if the town had a logo, and it's been a while since the select board discussed it, probably a couple of years,
Several years.
several years. So I'd like to bring it back. Maybe look at what was originally done. I know there was some concern because it featured the French King Bridge, but now that has been redesigned, and that problem's been taken care of. So I'd like to bring it back.
I thought the town planner was working on it.
That's what I was going to ask. I thought there was some talk,
There
very
was.
brief, and then they were working on it to
They
bring us
were-
back something.
They were working on it, but there was never been a firm deadline of when we wanted it. So it's been a project that, as there's availability and people are available to work on it, certain department heads have been working on it, but there's nothing that is specifically ready for proposal. If the board would like that to be something that's prioritized, we can certainly move it forward. I think to your point, there are not only obviously departments like the rec, we've got new staff who are coming on board saying that they would like to obviously order the business cards, order uniforms for their department so that they're looking professional as they're walking out, and so they're asking what the town logo is so that they can order these things. And you still have trucks that are waiting to be lettered. So we've been using the old lettering in the meantime, but there's been a question every time a new vehicle arrives, are we ready to re-letter it with the town branding? So yes, these are questions that come up regularly.
And various signage is getting refreshed and other things. And
Park
and
signage
I
is waiting.
appreciate
Yes,
all
park
of their investment in it, and I would love to have a single brand guide and
Yes.
standard that we can.
Like we discussed.
Just like I agreed with galvanized, but I really want black.
Yes, I know,
Signposts. I mean, there are some things like we need to get it done.
Yes.
So
And,
could we?
I mean, I would even venture as far as, if we can't figure out that, we have a seal, let's get some colors and some standard fonts, and at least there's something consistent, even if we don't have a new logo to go with it.
Yep.
And then we can always figure out a logo later. Like, so I'm not saying that we don't try, but if the hang-up is a new design, we have a town seal, and we could come up with a color scheme.
Yes, you could.
I would say that I think that we need to relook at the design you were looking at several years ago, that we have graphics for.
I can unearth that if you would like me to.
And that can be a starting point, unless the town planner has come up with alternatives.
I don't believe that they have alternatives yet. I know that there was a working group across town of different department heads who were interested in that project, so I can ask them for the final status of what those conversations are.
How about we put it on for the 31st and ask him to come give us an update on where it's at, and then we can give some direction on where we want it to go. Because we don't know where
Okay.
it's at or how
Right.
far they've gotten or
Right.
what they have, if anything, for product.
Let me check in with them tomorrow to see, get you an update, and then if it feels like you're ready for the 31st based on what he has to share.
Yeah, I mean, if it makes sense.
Yeah.
If what he's sharing is we've had some discussions, but we don't really have any
Right.
thing that really moves the needle from where we were,
Right.
then that's an answer.
Okay.
If it's something worth having a discussion about how far they've gotten and if
Right.
that's where to continue from,
Right.
that makes
Okay.
sense.
Because you came very close 3 or 4 years ago in deciding a logo.
It was
Yes.
down to final revisions.
It
I
was.
would, while I am glad we got done what we got done at the bridge, I don't know that I totally share the opinion that it alleviates the concerns that were raised about it, because what happened is still.
Right, but I
me.
still want to look at them again in a different
Yeah,
perspective.
that's totally fine. Yeah, I just
Well,
to put that out there, I'm
and
not
what I
sure if I.
would offer, and I understand why they'll pause, but if there's a lot of thought about fonts, there's a lot of thought about color choices, all of that, even if the imagery is to change, even
Yeah.
just reviewing where you were with your color palettes and your
Yes.
fonts may be something that
Absolutely.
you're still happy with, and maybe that answers the question that you brought up.
Right, absolutely.
And that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
We've done a lot of work on, you had a color scheme, you had font. If changing the imagery is only the issue, then let's
It makes
let's
it-
complete this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yep.
smaller part of the whole
Right.
thing. Yeah,
I think the department heads would be happy to have that put to bed.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I keep thinking back
On-
to the
on the
UMass study.
business
and all
cards?
of it.
Betsy, I know at some point we were going through Betsy for cards.
Yes.
Is that still the
Yes.
standard?
But what I would say is that some people have gone that way, and we've used vendors, and some people have gone through other vendors. And so, yes, that was how we were standardizing it before, but that has not remained as consistent as I would like. And Bets and I were just having that conversation again the other day. And so we would like to lock that down and be very clear. And if we had a template, it wouldn't matter what vendor you went to,
Right,
because you would get
right.
the same result every time.
Right.
And so I think if we can come up with these templates, that would solve a lot of these issues.
Okay.
Because people just end up with the next vendor, and the vendor helps them set up based on one of their templates. And so,
Or they want something that looks better than what we have so far.
Right.
So then they get creative, right?
And they get
Which
creative.
I don't want to fault them for being creative.
nope.
Right.
But we do want a consistency that we need to get to.
All of your boards and commissions, the volunteers down to your staff members, they all want to represent you all well. But to your point, I think in absence of having something firm, they try to be as creative as they can be because they want to do well for you all. But I think sometimes it then leads to an inconsistent presentation.
Of course. No fault of theirs.
Nope. Okay, so we'll get you an update
For next.
for your next meeting.
Then we have the that we have announced that we've ratified our agreement with AFSCME 1725 for July 1st, 2026 through June 30th, 2029.
Exactly.
So that agreement has been ratified. Review and approval of Treasury warrant.
I make a motion to approve the fourth accountant's payable warrant for fiscal year 2027 in the aggregated amount of $377,326.90 as presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And then did we do those last time? No.
No.
Okay.
So that
Oh,
was
there's
last
more.
week's
Okay.
payment.
Oh, well, sorry, I missed
Yep.
that one.
Gotcha. That's fine. Yeah, it's fine. Didn't we already set? We never revisited. It's about this. So
Yeah.
we had set single signer
We used to do that.
tiers.
Yep.
We may want to just have that discussion again.
Put it on the 31st.
Yeah, we can. And see if we want to keep it the same, change it, or do
Yep.
something different. But we had set that. I know I didn't sign the warrant, so
Right.
and I was the first one on the list to sole signer. So I don't. From there, I paid less attention because if
Yeah.
I signed it, I knew it was set, and if not, I didn't. But we should just talk about it.
Absolutely.
So we'll just do this one as a group since we're here.
Yep.
Make a motion to approve the third payroll warrant for fiscal year 2027 in the aggregated amount of $226,009.62 as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I make a motion to approve the third payable benefits warrant for fiscal year 2027 in the aggregated amount of $35,168.68 as
Second.
presented.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you all.
Just one other comment back to the branding is that we also have with some of our door access security and ID badges is another thing that we were working on. We've not finalized a template, but it really should go along with. And we have, authentic holographic ID capabilities, but I would hate to be printing those to reprint them again
Right.
once we get there. So I think it's another thing in that whole vein of
Let's
something
just
to
get it
standardize.
Settled.
Would be nice.
Have a goal to have maybe a town branding by January.
Sounds good.
Then we can
That's fine.
move forward onto all the, it's just,
Sounds good.
the branding
That
just
sounds
reaches
very
out to
ambitious.
everything. I mean, it
Guys,
really
it does. It'll
and
be a good spring project
it
to
just
start
said-
refacing the town.
Yeah.
Right.
And a budget item probably
Yeah.
too, because that was part of it. We need to think about what a budget will be into
Agreed.
2028.
Yeah.
So
Because we eventually gave back the signage money to the voters and put
Yeah.
savings because we
we
didn't
come up
spend
with a
it.
plan, then we can come up with a rollout,
Yep.
Right.
Agreed.
which we
Agreed.
want. So,
Right.
okay.
So, Glenn had posted, I think, while you were gone, that the tie and bond issue with the culvert, and he was asking to meet with us all again, and so I thought that was going to happen tonight, but
No, I don't think that
So-
was specifically the ask, but now I recall what you're saying. Hold on a second. I know about what he's saying.
Bridge Street?
the culvert.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
Bridge Street or?
No,
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 behind
no,
the
no,
station.
no, no. Yeah, Fire
we-
Station 2.
Yes, that's field.
Oh.
too.
Yeah, different one.
Different culvert.
He wanted to talk about scheduling it
Right.
Yes.
when he got back, so after today.
After.
So that wasn't for today,
Okay.
but it may
your
be an item for
subsequent
the 31st.
Okay.
Since
Yes.
we're already
Yeah.
planned to join, let's put it on for that.
Yeah. And so for anybody listening, we're talking about Fire Station 2 and Veterans Memorial Park.
And
There's a
the-
culvert.
And the culvert issues there.
Okay. So many culvert projects.
Bridges and culverts, we've got them,
Bridges,
lots of
we-
them.
lots of-
Roads,
Yes. Right. Yes. We can absolutely put that on the
wastewater. You
Lots
got
of
projects.
wastewater.
We've got work.
Yeah,
That,
your point
that
of
actually
work.
reminds me another wastewater topic. You had a lot of capital projects for water and wastewater this year, and we've gone through several of them. The only one you haven't started yet is the improvements for Plant 1. There was the stairs, the valve replacement, a few others. So if you're ready to look at that proposal from Bond, I can bring that to you all, whether you want it 31st or September meeting,
Do you have capacity? Do
That's
people, does the department and you have capacity?
to handle one more project.
Yeah, to be ready to start that.
I had that conversation with Pete before I left.
Okay.
Let me revisit with him this week. But I asked him to look at that because before all of this, we already had 4 projects in queue for
And we
those.
just added POTW2 tonight, so just
Yeah.
Agreed.
balancing things. I want to make sure everybody isn't overly spread thin because we do. It's easy for us to say yes
Yes. I just
historically.
I just know that was on the capital plan, and I don't want it to be something that capital asks us this budget cycle. Where are we with this project? And we go, it's still sitting in the queue.
Well,
But
yes and
capacity is
no.
important.
I think capital. We need to. I think capital will understand if we're clear about saying we're only 4 months in. We've got 8
Right.
months to complete stuff. So just because I haven't started doesn't mean we're not going to,
Agreed.
or not going to
Agreed.
make substantial progress, right? So
Do we need to bring back Mariah's shot?
I would hope we could
What-
cross
what-
something
not-
off.
wasn't
We're probably going to
on
add
the chart.
15, but I would love to cross some off of it. It would feel good.
You have crossed things off,
I know.
Okay.
There's just a lot.
but that's a good point.
But Bridge Street Bridge has resumed. By the
I
way,
meant
if you
to
didn't
send
catch
you all
that.
some updates. Bridge Street
Yeah.
Bridge has resumed. If folks start to see activity down there, that is because Warner Brothers is back, so that's fantastic news. And again,
Yeah.
huge thank you to our friends in Wendell for really taking the lead on that and keeping that project going. The final issues with Verizon and the utility poles near Church Street and North Street were resolved right before I left, and so the site has been turned back over to AG Virgilio. So you'll start to see activity happening at Church Street for the bridge project. And Swamp Road Bridge, comments were received by your engineers from MassDOT. They are working on responding to all of those, and they expect to respond in September. So assuming that all goes as planned, you should have a revised project, bringing the cost and all of that in time for budget season.
To look at and
Exactly.
Okay.
So your 3 bridge projects are all moving forward.
we.
Yes. Yep.
So we'll congest things more before we open them back up.
Well, the nice thing is Church Street will be done and Bridge Street will be done.
Yes.
The only unfortunate thing, when you said culvert, I was thinking of a different culvert.
Oh.
The project on Bridge Street was not awarded funding through the bridge, through the culvert program. That was through the Eco One Stop. That was news that we just received a week ago. And we were encouraged to apply for funding through MassDOT. And when we sat down as a team and looked at it, the maximum funding allotment for a culvert project is $150,000. This project's already assumed to cost with a contingency up to $400,000. So it doesn't make sense unless you had to physically or have in possession some funding mechanism ready to go to provide the match. So it didn't make sense to even try to pull together an application. But I
Yep.
do think we have to meet with capital and finance and have a team meeting about what our strategy is. We were really hoping to do the culvert at the same time the bridge was under repair to avoid repeatedly closing the road, but it's a short project. When you're ready to do it, it will be quick. So,
Here's what it is.
yep.
Okay. That had me think of something in the midst of that conversation, but I don't remember what it was, so I guess it wasn't that important for tonight. Anything else before we wrap?
I got nothing.
Nope. Okay. Next
Thank
meeting is a joint meeting,
Yes.
and then interviews are
Preference for the
tentative,
first.
and we'll
Yep.
get
Right.
confirmation on those right after.
And I sent holds for all of your schedules.
Yes,
You
thank
did?
you.
Okay. We did not confirm with broadcast that September 1st and 2nd were doable. We probably should just double check.
I can follow up with BNC-TV after the meeting and
Okay.
make sure that we're good to go.
Yeah, and then if we need to make adjustments, let us know. We'll do some scheduling work.
You got it.
Async.
Yes.
All right. Motion to adjourn, 9:42.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.